Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekly Manga Recap. It is the 7th of October of 2020, which means something is going to happen. Yes, I don't want to say it just in case it doesn't happen, because if I can avoid it, I would like to go without it happening.
Oh, what normally happens in October?
No. It's not going to happen.
Oh, okay.
Chris, okay. It's not going to happen at all. It's going to be a normal episode of the podcast.
There's like a specter in the room that we can't talk about, is what you're saying.
Well, no, we can talk about Ace.
No, Ace, the ghost camel returns.
So we are joined this week by Ace, Chrisman, letterer extraordinaire, dadcore enthusiast.
Yay.
And it's been a while since you've been on our show, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it's nice to
thanks
see you
for having
again.
me, guys. Nice to be here.
Thank you for being on our show, because we need you. The show has been incomplete without you. I get an email once a day with somebody saying, I hate the show. You don't have Ace on enough. It's fucking stupid. You guys are dumb. If you don't have them, it's fucking worthless. Now, granted, all those emails have been coming from you, but still, I appreciate.
That's a very similar name. It's Ice Chrisman, okay?
That is true. That is true. I guess I had it mistaken. Could have been anybody.
No relation, though. No relation.
None.
All right, good to know. It's just you in various wigs. So I don't know why you change the wig every time that you send a new email, but it's just...
I have to get into character, okay? I mean, they have to get into character.
Yeah. Whoever they are. Could be anybody.
Yeah.
Could even be, maybe it's you. So, Ace, it's been a while since we've had you on the show. It'd be a good time to remind everybody, perhaps, what your connection to everything is.
I'm a letterer for a lot of things. For...
A lot of things. Yeah.
And Black Clover, Ghost Reaper Girl, Mori King. I think that's all my Jump series right now.
All the good ones in there.
We're going to talk about most of those today, so.
It's good times. It's actually very convenient that we'd have you on. There's a World Trigger chapter to talk about this week.
Yeah.
We have Ghost Reaper Girl, which is a spooky series that fits Halloween month so perfectly. Black Clover has been the most interesting it's going to get, and Mori King is there. Who knows what'll happen. The important thing is all the series are excellent.
Aww.
Yay,
positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is Ghost Reaper Girl? I'm going to throw it on you. You have the onus now to describe it to our audience.
Do my job for it.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to be in the other room. I'm going to play some Genshin Impact, and I will come back, and hopefully the job will be done satisfactorily.
I keep hearing that title. I don't know what that is. So
it's kind of like a very weeby gotcha game version of Breath of the Wild.
That's my review. Nick Freeman, pro gamer, reviews games. I don't know what that is. I've heard the name, but I don't know what it is.
I have
every single review. I make so much money off of those.
I have the same thing when it comes to Blaseball. I don't know what it is, and I can't figure it out from the context of other people talking about it. So I've just assumed, I'm like, it's just something fun they're enjoying in their lives. I'm not going to delve any further into this.
You kids have fun.
Yeah, you wild kids go crazy out there. I hope you catch all the Blazeballs you're looking for. Well, no.
This series.
Yes.
It's about a girl, an actress who has crazy spiritual powers and has 2 manslaves.
Yeah, that's
So
actually...
So far. Also,
Yeah, that's
she wears fetishy gear sometimes and fights
that
ghosts.
too. I guarantee is going to become 5 by the end of the year. I'm pretty sure. So.
No, I hope it does. I'm all for her manslaves.
So this is a series by Akisa Saike, under a new pen name since their most famous series, Rosario to Vampire, came to an end. And in somewhat of the same vein of the series that involved monster-y kind of girls, and there being a whole adventure plot while there was a sort of harem going on between these hot girls and some dude. Now there is this kind of harem-y sort of setup, but with the gender roles reversed, where there is this thing going on where essentially our main character becomes an exorcist, a soul reaper. Her name is Chloe, and as you mentioned, she is a struggling actress who is almost 30, but is a lowly, which is brought up way too much for my comfort. And I will say this, when I read chapter 1 of this series, I was like, this is going to be awful. This is going to be so bad. But over time, they start to move away from that a bit. So I was happy for that. And it more just becomes her, learning to use these abilities while she gets these spiritual companions who are all hot guys who can all go inside her. Which is not sexual at all in the context of the series, let me tell you. It's not sexual, no. But when she is possessed by one of these spirits, her appearance changes and she gains abilities that are related to them. The main guy in the series, whose name escapes me at the moment, he takes the form of a cartoony talking scythe.
I was going to say, the two, I know it's Chloe and then Chain Dude and Cat Guy. That's the only way I've recognized these characters so far.
It's Chloe, Kai, and Noelle.
Those are all
Kai.
good names.
Kai, or as he's also known.
The president of that one company's name.
Oh, Nyarlathotep? Is that Nyarlathotep?
Maybe.
It's a big H.P. Lovecraft character,
ship, right?
I thought it was.
Oh, is that right?
It's an H.P. Lovecraft character because I've seen it referenced in other things. Like there's a Dragalia Lost Dragon named after it.
I've definitely seen it.
And also Persona, I think too. So
probably, I feel like it's it
is a Lovecraft character.
Nyarlathotep.
Nyarlathotep.
Now all of those were generally made to be unpronounceable because H.P. Lovecraft was a bit of a shill who, if you consider it, was kind of too lazy to write good stuff when you think about it. When you really think about it, he was like, no one can pronounce its name. Just writes letters on there. And you're like, it's crazy.
Keyboard smash.
Yeah. Also, there's...
Writer smash.
They're also very legit.
Greatest flaw as a writer. There was nothing else.
I was like, there's also...
Nothing else.
Far worse things. Watch Lovecraft Country.
So yes, Chloe and her companions, Kai, aka Light Yagami, if you were a lolicon, and this guy looks so much like Light. I'm not even kidding. He looks so much like him, but he's just like, God, I love little girls. He's so gross. And the series is very young. It's only 7 chapters in right now. The latest chapter came out all of 2 days ago. It updates every 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
And it's really, the plot is only kind of just getting started, but it seems like it's a sort of battle series with a little bit of a magical girl kind of setup, because obviously Chloe starts off in just as a regular girl, and then one of her not boyfriends possesses her, and so she goes through a transformation, and so she'll become, a Reaper girl, or she'll become a cat girl, and presumably one would think that with that setup, there's going to be future transformations at some point down the line, which means more harem options. So
I hope there's a sexy mummy.
That would be great.
All of the other Universal monsters get sexy versions. Sexy vampires, sexy creatures from the Black Lagoon, sexy werewolves. I want sexy mummy. I want it.
Come on, man. You've never seen 90s Mummy?
That's different.
The big bald dude.
No, I want.
You just bought it from him because he was in the same movie as Brendan Fraser and No But Fair. It just wasn't fair to him and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But he was CG, so that didn't really distract.
Wait, that was they didn't put real prosthetics on The Rock to make him a giant scorpion monster.
Chris, you're blinded because you just remember what he looked like in like the 2000 WWF Nintendo 64 game.
That is how I identify most wrestlers.
Including the ones that weren't wrestling back then.
I enjoy this series quite a lot. This was one of those series that I just decided to start clicking at a whim because this is a series you can check out through Shonen Jump. As Nick said, there's 7 chapters. You can read the first 3 for free and the most recent 3 for free. So currently at this point, you're only missing out on 1 chapter if you're not already subscribed. Yeah. And I can't... How dumb do you have to be to not be subscribed to Shonen Jump? And like,
well, it's not a matter of dumbness, Chris.
No, I think you are very dumb if you don't. Maybe you have a good reason, but you probably don't if you don't, and you're dumb.
Listen, Chris, manga should be free, and I will always prefer ugly ass looking, poorly translated free manga to anything.
That's how all my Nakama like it.
Look.
Nakama means friends. But it's a deeply culturally entwined term that has no proper equivalent. Oh my god, I used to be that dumb.
I think we were all that dumb. We were all that dumb.
Yeah, we all have that moment in us. We're like, no, it is cooler if you use Keikaku instead of plan. This is a good decision.
Yeah, I like this series. I think it's a really easy one to read. You know, it's not really dense. The chapters go by really quick. Even when I'm working on it, they're
Fly
done
by.
real fast because it just, I don't know, just straightforward. Art's really good. Man slaves.
It also defies all logic of Nick's former web video series, and you read it from left to right. And it feels dirty. It's by the author's request, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. We I've gotten some pushback from people who have contacted me, very angry that it's been flipped. And I mean, it says it front and center on the page, on the Shonen Jump page. This is by request. He does all of the work flipping it. He redraws panels. So they're to like, if it's 2 Japanese panels and they're kind of skinny together, sometimes he'll just make it a bigger round one. Like he does a lot of work. Like this guy, all the sound effects you see, he does them all. I don't have to do any sound effects.
Makes your job easier, huh?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing, it took me a while to get used to, and it was kind of like, it always takes, whenever I work on a chapter, I always have to kind of like switch my brain because I'm so used to lettering as normal manga. But it's, other than that, I mean, like, if this is how he wants it, whatever, man, go for it. He's like I said, he's doing all the work to make it happen. So
yeah,
it's like if you get into a car and like the steering wheel's on the other side of it or something like that. Just.
Well, that's
I
believe legally at that point, if you get in your car and the steering wheel is on the other side, you're allowed to just drive on the other side of the road. Doesn't matter. They can't stop you.
I mean, good luck with that idea, dude. I did see, like, I'm not surprised that there was pushback on that, because that at least like affects the reading experience. I also saw as part of the announcement that Shonen Jump made about this series, saying, "Hey, this is from the mangaka of Rosario to Vampire," and then there are people who are commenting like, "No, the mangaka of Rosario to Vampire is Akisa. I forget the other pen name," and it's just like, no, he changed his pen name. That's all that happened.
Or somebody's really good at aping his style.
Oh yeah,
that too.
All
I
right.
really like how every chapter has a color page at the beginning too.
Yeah,
I think that's really
it's actually pretty sweet. Like I do like the color choice for everything in the series as well. It actually was kind of very fitting for Halloween month, besides the fact that it involves spooky monster people, but it has kind of that color tone and palette to it where you're just like,
yeah.
this feels very appropriate. I dig this. And I really want
Yeah,
her to
so-
have a mummy boyfriend so she could turn into a mummy person. And I don't know what she could do with that. Control.
Does he have Twitter? Send him tweets. Hey, so I was thinking, sexy mummies.
Hey, I know we could fuck and have dreams about every other Universal monster, but what about giving the mummy some love? Sincerely yours. And then I'm like, no, I can't give him my name. Nicholas Freeman. But I still send it from my Twitter account. So
Like him.
One thing I do want to mention about this is that if you read the Japanese version, the Japanese version is read the Japanese way. We are the only ones. Well, the English language ones are the ones that are flipped, but we had to change the name of the series.
I did notice that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Ghost Girl in Japanese, but we had to add Reaper in because I guess there's a superhero called Ghost Girl. I'm not 100% on that, but it was legal reasoning.
I'm trying to think. I don't.
Superhero. Wendy Hunt, Ghost Girl, is a superhero, a Scottish superhero in the Marvel Universe. All right.
I've never heard of this character. I think they're making her up.
I don't know.
Damn you, Disney. Is there nothing you won't take from us?
Listen, Chris. This result came from the superheroes wiki, which, if you can't trust a fan wiki to give you accurate information, what can you trust?
Well, Nick,
For real.
I'll have you know that I have gone straight to the Marvel fandom Wikipedia, and they say it's Lily Stevens. So,
Okay, so
unless
there's two.
No, Nick, there can only be one. There's only ever one version of a superhero, so one of them must be lying, and I say that we have them fight to the death over it.
All right, yeah, I trust you on your word on this. I mean, just look at my favorite superhero, Green Lantern. Only ever been one.
There's only one of them.
Oh, I think Ghost Reaper Girl has a better ring to it than just Ghost Girl, anyway. So, and it works. She's got the scythe when she's in Kai form. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fitting title. It is a shame though because the Japanese logo is, which they haven't used in several chapters actually. Well, several chapters that I've seen. I don't know how many chapters here. They haven't used it in a while, but it's the Japanese logo is so good. It's so good.
It's the one with the kind of curvy font, right? Is that the one?
Yeah. It's got this curvy font, and then like the scythe is I think the L of girl, and it's really nice.
Yeah, I do like that. That is very solid.
But
Nick.
well.
oh, I see that now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very Soul Eater looking too.
Yeah.
But Nick, we have to talk about manga now, don't we?
We do.
I think we do.
All right, cool. Let's
Do we
that.
have any final thoughts we want to give on Ghost Reaper Girl?
It's all right. Like I said at the very beginning of the first chapter, I was like, this is going to be gross and stupid because this guy won't stop shutting up about how much he loves lolicons. And then over time, it's like, you know what? There's more important things to be done than to focusing on this one character quirk. He brings it up occasionally, but it's mostly in the form of a very harmless-looking cartoon scythe guy, which is less weird than when he's just like, I am a gentleman who loves lolis. It's like, ah!
Yep, I think it's a fun series. It's really easy to read. I recommend it just for, it's kind of like junk food,
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything amazing, but I think it's very enjoyable and just fun and easy.
But just like Halloween patterned Oreos, it's a little too spooky for me to totally enjoy. I've sometimes opened those packages, saw a ghost print on one side, screamed, and ran from my house. Much like I have several times when attempting to read this manga. I'm like, ghosts! And I run from my room. When I come back, 10 out of 10 series.
All right. Shall we proceed then?
Yeah.
All right. We are going to do the recap portion of the manga recap, beginning with My Hero Academia, chapter number 286, The Ones Within Us. Last time, Bakugo was fine. He's not hurt at all. He's okay. He's just got a few sharp things sticking out of him. He's fine. We catch up at that exact moment that was left off from the previous chapter with him just telling to Deku, which in a way is very impressive because I'm pretty sure at least one of those sharp things is in his lung. Stop trying to win this on your own. We then get a look at Shigaraki, who seems to be having some sort of internal struggle. I believe that is what the head twitch is meant to indicate. And then he pulls the sharp things out of Bakugo, who starts to fall. But fortunately, Todoroki is there. He's still holding on to Endeavor, who's looking totally fine. He's not, beat the crap out of too. So Todoroki's got both of them. Shigaraki speaks in, I believe, what is meant to be All for One's voice, saying, "This battle, so much blood spilled for no good reason. That last bit being the most pointless of all." And then he reaches out for Deku, who recalls all of the shit that he's just seen in the past, 5 minutes, however long this battle has lasted in real time. Aizawa getting the crap beaten out of him. Gran Torino's being seemingly mortally injured. Less important characters, who cares about them?
Irrelevant. Now that Crust is gone, I don't have a true character to root for in this series, so I've stopped really paying attention.
Well, they're a top 10 here. Are they Crust? No.
No, then I don't care.
I don't remember who originally said this line to Deku. Can't recall. Of someone telling him, when you use this power out of anger, it'll really start working for you. What really matters is controlling your heart. I think that might have been Black Whip guy, but I can't remember. I just can't. Deku starts to go a little crazy. And by a little, I mean he looks demented as he launches himself forward. There's this big 2-page spread of him like chomping into these tendrils that are extending from Shigaraki's fingers. Actually looks kind of scary.
When in doubt, take a bite.
That'd be great if Tokoyami was on the ground and he was just like, well, that's just great. Now I need a new gimmick since you also have an evil bird thing, shadow thing over your face.
It's not a bird.
My thing.
There can't be two of us.
Like the ears. Come on, man.
Well, then you did set Mirko.
Oh, well, you can't stop Mirko. The internet won't let you.
No. Too thirsty. Deku is on the rampage, and he says, "Take it back," which I'm not sure exactly how the grammar of this conversation flows from page to page, but the line that was previously spoken by Shigaraki All for One was, all this blood was spilled for no good reason, that last bit being the most pointless of all. I'm not sure if he's saying that Bakugo's blood is pointless, and so he's just like, whatever, you're a nothing, and that's why Deku's mad. That's the implication I get from this, but I don't know.
No.
And then we get a cool shot of Shigaraki reacting in shock, but also like the line in his face opens up and All for One is staring out of it. It's a cool visual.
Not creepy at all.
There's
This is a horror series.
Yeah.
2 mouths, that's normal.
Compared to Ghost Reaper Girl.
I know. I actually nailed myself to my chair so I wouldn't run out of the room screaming when I came up at this chapter. Nick, there's a face in that man's face!
Yes,
Help!
There is. Yes. So, Gigantomachia is still on the rampage. Now he smells that there are 2 of Master's scent, indicating that whole thing with All for One emerging from Shigaraki might not just be purely metaphorical, which is... If his head comes out of Shigaraki's head, that'll be pretty gross one. It's like... So, all the heroes that are, not currently involved in the battle are moving around trying to get stuff done. Uraraka is starting to despair because she realizes that things have just gotten worse and she doesn't seem to be helping out anything. Back at the battlefield, Todoroki goes, "Ah!" I believe is because he sees what we then see, which is Shigaraki's hand going out to facepalm, essentially, Deku. Which, of course, that's a bad thing, because he can disintegrate him, or take one for all, or whatever it is he's trying to do in this exact moment. Todoroki screams out for Deku. Shigaraki brags, "I got a hold of you. One for all is mine." Or that's All For One saying it. Part of his face looks like All For One. I don't know. I'm confused. Anyway, there's a flash. And now Deku is in the mental zone that he was in before, where, he saw all the different vessels of One For All before. But this time he sees, oh, there's Shigaraki over there. And he is starting to fight with All For One. They're disagreeing over what to do right now. And Shigaraki is telling All For One, stay in there. And All For One saying, hey, I lent you my strength. Don't be like that. And you nearly burned to cinders. And even after surviving, you would have died if not for me. So they're fighting now. But Shigaraki's like, hey, I'm running the show. This is my dream. Deku falls over. I don't know. He's clawing along the ground now. But then a hand touches him on the scalp. And a voice says, you can't move in this world yet. So let us handle this. And Nana Shimura is there in the mental zone place.
Pretty crazy. Now, I have one question.
One? Just one?
Just one. Well, there's only one that's really relevant to me. So, I obviously know that's the previous One For All user there. Who is the one who's there who's, like, missing most of their body?
Most of their body?
Yeah, like on the last page, double page spread, it's like the lady who had flight, and then there's somebody who's like their hand and their just the top
Chris,
of their face.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
Who is it?
It's Deku, Chris.
But Nick!
I don't.
Don't you mean
No.
Deku?
No, I don't.
The Spookmaster General strikes again! Gotta blow out a fuse like that, so I can't keep it up.
Been doing this for so long. You've been doing this every year for like 3 years now. Do you have any thoughts on the chapter, Chris?
Oh, sorry, I didn't actually even read it. I saw Deku was in it. I was like, just gotta wait for the end. No, it's good. I do like that there is, this kind of building tension here, and there's this struggle obviously Shigaraki's dealing with on top of the one that we had before. I'm a little bummed because we don't know what's happened to Bakugo, and that's like kind of where my mind wants to go, but I also understand that for pacing reasons you kind of want to leave us worried about Bakugo's fate, and we want to deal with this as well. I'm definitely a lot more interested in this chapter than I have been in like the 20 previous chapters, where I've kind of just been like, all right, can we just end Shigaraki? Because this fight's kind of getting kind of boring now. So I'm more excited for where we're at than where we've been previously.
At least, I mentioned like the confusing stuff in this chapter, but at least it's stuff that's like seems to be meant to be deliberate intrigue, or kind of confusing on purpose until you read more later, until you get the context and find out what happened. As opposed to, I don't know what happened in this fight scene. So. What'd you think, Ace?
To be honest, I'm so far behind in
the
series, but I'm glad to see that Nana's back, because she's a badass.
Yeah.
So, I am kind of surprised to see that Shigaraki has not been taken out. It's been a long time. I swear they were fighting him last time
This fight has been
chapter.
This fight's been going on basically all year. So,
okay.
Yeah. That's not
Okay, so I've caught up now.
Yeah.
Well, not just this
Injured.
fight. There was a fight somewhere else, and but it's all one battle basically. So okay, let's move on to Kaiju number 8.
But Nick,
No,
don't you mean Kaiju number 8? Hold
you
away.
could have just said the second part of that.
Oh, it's Spooktober.
This is why you want Ace on this show, isn't it? This is because you knew that if she were here to encourage you, then I wouldn't really be able to stop you.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Nick.
Like,
I love it.
2-on-1.
I have a positive reinforcement, and thus it empowers me.
My negative punishment never stops you when it's uncontested anyway. So
No, but now I feel nurtured, Nick. It's in my nature already, but now I feel nurtured.
Kaiju number 8. Have you been able to read this series, Ace?
Yes, I am loving this series. It's right up my alley.
Awesome, cool. So it's Kafka's first mission officially as part of the Defense Force. Let's just call it that. I don't remember the official organization name. And their lieutenant says, as they're in the truck going on their way, it's kaiju slaying time, which it sounds like something that like a game show host says.
You bring that a little mic. Who will be the first one to kill the kaiju?
It's kaiju slaying time.
I assume they have to say, like, I haven't watched it, but I assume on that show, The Floor is Lava, that's how they start with, and now, the floor is lava! And then people start like, oh! Like, really, like, method actors are screaming, like, oh my god, it burns, it burns! Like, no, it's just SpaghettiOs we drain the noodles out of. You're fine!
If I recall correctly, the show BattleBots, each fight between the robots will begin with one of the announcers saying, "It's robot fighting time."
Oh,
so
yeah.
It makes everything so much cooler in like kind of a dumb way.
In the 90s way.
Yes, and I love it. It's great.
So we see Kafka and Kikoru kind of looking at each other a bit in the truck, and then we get a flashback because turns out they decided it would probably be a good idea to go to her and explain why Kafka turned into a kaiju. So, good call there. Not sure about their decision to do it in a diner where anyone could overhear them. But I don't know. They're all idiots, so I'll allow it, I guess. So, Kafka, of course, begs Kikoru, don't tell anyone about this. She's, got a few thoughts on the matter and stuff, because she points out, like, I've heard that some of the really powerful kaiju get dismantled and used for special weapons, so you would be taken apart in the worst case scenario. So, yeah, you saved me, fine, I'll keep your secret for now. But if it turns out you are a kaiju out to harm humanity, then I will kill you. And she's all super serious about this. Shinamiya's like, oh no. And Kafka's like, yeah, all right.
Okie
You cut back
dokie.
to the present. You kind of distorted there a bit for me. What'd you say?
I was just gonna say, he's just like, okie dokie. Like, I just, like, really, really friendly about it. Like, you do what you need to now.
It's okay. He's a good dad. So. Kikoru thinks to herself as they're riding in the truck now in the present, you better not disappoint me, Kafka Hibino. And he kind of looks at her and kind of, has a sort of half smirk. And then he starts to get car sick. Because apparently he got really nervous, and so he overate, and they're like, you're supposed to not eat when you're nervous. What you're so weird? And then,
Now, I disagree with that. Whenever I'm anxious, do nothing but eat. That's like my number one go-to.
I do it sometimes too. I think that there's not just one reaction people have when they're nervous about a situation, and eating is a fairly common one.
So I think this is proof then that she might be an alien. She's a kaiju. This is the first clue. Because a real person would understand, like, no, when I'm nervous, I eat the entire box of Star Crunch. I don't even wait. I just eat them all.
This is gonna be a lot more like Parasite than we initially thought.
Yeah.
Like aliens acting weird.
All of them are aliens.
And all of a sudden it gets really it's really misogynistic and so they get to the location and they're able to spot the kaiju looming on the horizon. It's this big multi-legged sort of mushroom mushroom swarm, I guess we'll call it, looking thing.
It looks like a turtle made out of mushrooms.
Yeah, colony.
I like it.
Big 2-page spread saying it's like, all right, the operation is beginning. We get a bit of I don't know. He starts doing this at a time when I think he should have been doing it in the truck, but he's doing it now. The vice captain is like, here's what's going on, and here's the situation. Because Captain Ashura is leading a unit to dispose of the kaiju. We are dealing with the number that are being spawned from it, and so we separate everything out into all these different neutralization zones. Your jobs are to dispose of the yoju within the confines of these zones. And he says this is a critical task. How successful we are here determines how much damage will be done to the city and how much money is going to be spent on rebuilding. And you guys are in newbie stations at the very tail end of these zones, but that also means you're the last line of defense. So stay frosting, essentially. And he's like, make your daddy proud, basically. Although he's not that kind of character.
Yet.
I guess.
I have hopes, okay? I have hopes.
He's gonna stop being Ichimaru Gin. I've got a hidden plot, and he's just gonna be Boot Sergeant Daddy. Kafka understands, of course, that in addition to hey, we've got a mission to do, and a city to protect, he's got to prove himself. Otherwise, he's going to be out the door in a few months. So he's like, hey, I feel like I'm under all this pressure, all this tension, but why then am I so freaking amped up right now? Hey, whatever gets you going, man. So, and he says, all right, let's do a Kikoru, and she of course responds, who the hell said that you could order me around? And they take stations as a Yonju rises up in front of them. It's considerably smaller than the giant turtle thing, but it's still pretty damn big.
Pretty big, yeah.
Then we get our title for episode 2 of the series, Sagamihara Neutralization Operation at Daybreak. So, get excited. Big fight coming.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I think so. And you know what? I like mushroom designed monster. It's pretty cool looking. I don't think it's specifically going to have mushroom powers, but that'd be pretty cool if it did. And mostly just looking forward to seeing the characters kind of interact with each other. Now that we've seen them in a training scenario, now how does Kafka, who does not have really any real combat ability on his own, manage
punching?
Yeah, like how does he manage now that he has to actually be like a regular soldier, has to hide, but still, stand out because he needs to earn his weight or he's gone.
Yeah, I love the second to last page where they're all jumping off the building and he's kind of like hanging on the side. Like he's just kind of like,
I'll climb down. I'll climb down. Just wait for me.
Don't wait for me.
Kafka, just use your suit. I can't.
1%.
We're gonna just find out by the end of this battle that the actual brains behind this giant mushroom monster is actually the mushroom girl from Class 1B. That's right, Chris. Do you remember that girl? Do you remember?
She was in Class 1B?
Yes.
There's a 1B?
You care nothing for any of them. That's great.
I was like, I assume Tetsu just doesn't show up all that frequently. Like, he must really play hooky a lot because he's the only character who just doesn't show up at the class. Also, his name, great Chris, don't you mean Tetsu? Boom, nailed it. Spooky light. There we go.
Stop it.
Carry on.
Yeah. I think of this chapter, it was good. I don't have a lot to say about it because it's just like, all right, we're going ahead now. So let's talk about Spy Family. Mission 34. Hey, it's the end of the tennis mission. Thank God. Because it was a little too long. So, but they're on their way back. Lloyd takes off his disguise, and Nightfall's like, "Hey, I could drive you all the way home." And Twilight's like, "I'm playing a happily married man. It'd be pretty bad if rumors started out because I got out of the car of some, young lady. So yeah, we'll not risk any of that." And of course, she's thinking to herself, like, "I did a good job on the mission. I worked so hard. Can't you see that I'm the more suitable wife for you? Your partner should be me." And Lloyd gets out as they get to the park. And he's like, "All right, I'll see you, at the hospital." Since
Who
they
is
cover there.
thirstier, her or the girl or Suzu from Ayakashi Triangle? Nick's putting his thinking cap on.
I haven't read Ayakashi Triangle, so
she's really hungry.
She's
it's up to you, Nick.
I mean, so last chapter, the big plot point was Suzu trying to use her newly discovered ability to put Matsuri back in his male body because she wants to fuck him. Like, there is really not much other reason it could possibly be. It's not like their relationship has suffered negatively as a result of the transformation, so it must be physical. That is the only reason that I can think of that is for that. But Matsuri also clearly wants to go back to his male body. He's just not nearly as enthusiastic about it as Suzu, but he probably wants it to happen. On the other hand, I'm pretty sure Lloyd would like it if this woman would stop jeopardizing his mission, which has the entire country at stake, because she's too thirsty. So I'm going to go with her.
Okay. All right, there you go. Definitive. Audience, you decide. Is Nick right or wrong? Your answers decide his fate going forward.
I'm always wrong when it comes to our audience. I mean, so. But anyway, we of course knew that Yor and Anya were playing tennis together at the park, and hey, they happened to spot them over there just by complete circumstance. Also, Bond's got a tennis racket. He's helping. He's
love
helping.
Bond.
But Nick, don't you mean Bond?
I mean, that sounded almost exactly the same as his actual name.
But it wasn't because the lights went off when I said it. Bond.
I mean, it's like you started to mispronounce it and then realized your mistake. Like, that's what that sounded like. Don't you mean Bond?
Bond. Boo.
Stop that. So Nightfall spots her rival in love. So she heads over to Yor and greets her, and Lloyd's gotta be like, "Oh yeah, it was on her way, so Fiona gave me a ride." And Nightfall is like, "Yeah, I wanted to say hello. Do you play tennis too, Mrs. Forger?" And Yor's like, "Well, Anya got really into tennis when we practiced with Lloyd the other day." And I love Anya's line here. This is my favorite part of this entire chapter. It's just this one line from Anya, because she gets super serious and her eyes gleam and she goes, "I hit so many home runs." This girl knows how to play tennis. So
very proud of her.
So Lloyd's like, "Oh yeah, and thanks to you guys, I did well in the tournament." And Nightfall's like, "Oh, come on. Don't freaking humor them." And she's getting really pissed off because they're all making nice together, she's getting pissed off. Like, I actually helped Twilight to do better. I would never be so arrogant as to think that I was responsible for his upgrade in skills. So she makes a decision and says, "Might I challenge you to a game, Mrs. Forger?" And of course, Lloyd's like, what the hell are you doing? Nightfall's like, uses their mouth lip reading thing to communicate back. I have to make sure she's prepared for the physical rigors of Operation Strix. I mean, she's his cover. She just has to be his wife, so I don't, whatever. And of course, she's thinking to herself, I will break you. So serious. So, and she's got it all figured out in her head. She's like, I will crush her heart. I'll relieve you of her on the Forger family forever. And she's like, I'll break her heart, make her abandon Lloyd, and then I'll be his wife in pretend and then for real. And there's you're so sweet and innocent during this, because she's like, I feel like if I lose, then Lloyd might push me aside, and then I'll have to go back to, having to make my brother feel bad with my assassin job, basically. And Anya, meanwhile, is reading everyone's thoughts during all of this, and she looks between the love triangle prospects, basically, and she flashes back to a conversation she had with Becky, where Becky was like, did you see Berlin, my favorite soap opera? Oh, the main character's fiance runs into his childhood girlfriend. And I just like, just like cartoons. I don't care about your bullshit. But then she's like, I get it now. I like action battles too. This poor girl has been misled on what soap operas are like now. Oh. So they get ready, and Nightfall prepares to receive Yor's serve, and she's like, come at me with everything you've got. So Yor is like, all right, holding back will be an insult to my opponent, so I'm going to go all out. And she tosses the ball up in the air, and all of her muscles flex, veins bulge out. She gets this serious look in her face. She swings the racket, and the ball hits the ground. So immediately Nightfall's like, I expected more from you. You're totally unfit. And then she sees that, Yor didn't miss the tennis ball. She hit it so hard that the strings cut the ball into pieces. And immediately Yor's like, oh, this always happens when I hit the ball too hard. So Bon, being a good boy, brings a new ball over to Yor, and she's like, okay, I'll try again. And Nightfall's like, what happened? What happened? What happens? Yor hits the ball again, much lighter this time, and she fires a fucking laser bullet straight at Nightfall, who realizes, okay, this is clearly going out of bounds, but if I don't swing the racket, I'm going to die. She swings the racket, and there's this huge impact as the racket starts to get pushed backwards. She adds her second hand to it. She's like, no, I must return it. My feelings for Twilight are stronger. No object can match the weight of my love. Push the racket forward. Pierce his heart with the ball. I can't lose. Get the hell out of my way. And then the racket disintegrates in a beautiful 2-page spread. Nothing this cool ever happened in the Prince of Tennis. All right,
Nick, I have a real question for you.
Yes,
because you're a genius in tennis. Who would get the point here?
Yor would.
Yor would get the point because she did attempt to hit it.
Yes, so Nightfall is correct. If the ball does not go within the valid service area on a serve, if it doesn't impact within this one like square in the court, then it counts as a fault. And so you have to do it again. And since she destroyed the ball on the first one, so I don't know if that counts as a let or if that counts as her first fault. But either it would have been a fault or it would have been a double fault. Either way, it would be good.
So you're telling me you've never encountered a disintegrated ball?
No.
Well,
And here we thought you knew about tennis.
Altheon is bringing up a good point. If you break your opponent's racket, that's your point.
Technically, it's not. If the racket is destroyed and you still manage to serve the ball, you return the ball over the net, then as long as the racket doesn't hit the ground before the ball goes into the court and bounces twice or your opponent fails to return it, then you still get the point. If your racket is destroyed, and then the pieces of racket hit the ground, then yes, it's your bonus point. So
Now, what if I'm under the effect of a power star when I do the return?
so does your racket still break, or in this scenario?
Yes, but it's a gigantic.
Doping.
Yeah, that's my question. Am I going to get tested afterwards?
So Nightfall's racket disintegrates, and she manages to push it forward, but she swings the handle and nothing else. We see the ball keep going and impact a tree. I don't know what the fuck kind of park this is that there are trees that close to the court. They're way too close.
Well, they bruised it themselves.
Maybe a tree had to be summoned there, or else the ball would have kept on going and caused massive devastation. I don't know. So Nightfall collapses to the ground, and she thinks to herself, I've lost. I've been completely defeated. My heart's been crushed. Yor, of course, is worried about her. Lloyd is like, I mean, I told you not to do this. It's like, did he? You don't know that Yor's that strong. What the hell? I don't know. Maybe it's because she's been pushing herself the whole time. I don't know. So Nightfall says, I give up. At the moment, you are superior. Mrs. Forger, one day I will challenge you to a revenge match. Until that day, enjoy this life of yours. And she hops in her car and speeds off while crying to herself, saying to herself, I will never give up. Never. So that all happens. Then Lloyd's like, I hope that didn't give Yor the wrong idea, about, Nightfall, like, doing that. But, I mean, it's all a paper marriage anyway, so I guess she wouldn't care. But then Yor gets really excited, and she's like, I beat her! And Lloyd's like, yeah, you won, yeah. And so she struts away, and Lloyd's like, suddenly I'm very tired. Dealing with all this shit. He goes to see the handler, who basically tells him that the entire mission that they just went on, Chris, was entirely pointless. Because...
What? No. So they didn't feel that way.
The secret of the guy whose note that they got that was attached to the painting, it was just that he has a collection of starlet photos, like idol pictures, because while he is a great patron of the theater, he's always preferred musical comedies to operatic tragedies. And so he had this whole collection of starlet photos, and it made his wife mad. So he decided to store them away somewhere. And so, yeah, the war that he was afraid of reigniting was not a matter of East versus West. It was the war of his marriage. And so they're like, yeah, nothing's going to cause war to reignite. So let's call that a win, I guess.
He also appears to have ranked the women because he's pulling a box that's labeled like SSR. So I'm like, that's his thought of like top tier waifus, I guess.
Maybe it's his gacha collection, Chris. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be so sweet. And then me and Jeff could talk about it. We'd be like, hey.
Jeff has already spent $20 on this game. Stop. So.
Jeff, no. The Spy Family gacha game isn't real.
It could be one day. There's a photo in the journal of the Colonel with his family, presumably with his wife and daughter, I guess. Yes, it is his wife and daughter. Duh, I forgot it says that. Some mustached guy that I guess we've seen before says like, oh yes, he was a family man. He took his secret to his grave just to protect his marriage. And the handler points out, I mean, if he loved his family so much, he could have just gotten rid of his collections. But Lloyd is left to think to himself about this as he looks at the picture. He's like, any lie can be justified if it's in the name of peace, huh? He goes to the bakery. He's still thinking to himself. And we cut over to the forger's apartment. And Yor's kind of thinking to herself. And then we kind of close on Nightfall practicing her tennis by swinging a stick with a rock attached to it. So, oh, and also Anya is feeding Bond by tossing treats into his mouth. So,
damn straight.
Very, very introspective conclusion to a Spy Family chapter. So that's a different kind of ending to all this.
Yeah, the ending almost felt like it was like trying to... It might have just been introspective. For a moment, I was like, Spy Family's not ending soon, is it? Because it felt like one of those ones that's like, hey, let's remind you of the central crux of all this because it's going to be more relevant going forward. But really, this was like a really fun chapter. It makes me kind of wish the Nightfall stuff had only been like, if we'd only actually spent like one chapter doing the tennis tournament, because then I feel like the bookends would have been a lot stronger. Because she's really funny in this chapter. Yeah. I feel like she actually needs the family to bounce off of when she is. I was like, oh, she's pretty entertained. I like this.
Yeah, it was a good payoff to all of it. You know, like, I mean, I understand having the whole like, oh yeah, they're super awesome at tennis, and then Yor destroys her. So, and that makes the joke a bit funnier, but I don't think we needed to spend as long on this mission as we did. Just because it wasn't as good as some of the other stuff we've seen from Spy Family. So,
yeah.
Do you think that they're going to fall in love? Do you?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Ace has spoken. That's all I need. So,
I bet Anya dies.
Okay.
I want to go for like the most bleak ending possible. She died.
Next chapter. Anya's playing with Bond. Suddenly flashes as she reads his mind of her corpse, and she's like,
she drowns in a river trying to save Bond, and both of them drown. So that's the other ending.
I don't like this.
I'm sorry, I was too positive.
Yours really sad.
The future double shows up and he just shouts over the bodies that wash up on the shore, "The future rules!"
Yours really sad. Lloyd's like, shit, now I gotta get another kid.
He's like, I had to start all over again. You know, give me that beanie. We're just gonna do plan B. I'll be the kid.
Walks in on his knees. All right. We got a special chapter to talk about this time. It's been a few months since the Promised Neverland ended. And a great note. And it's a chapter all about Ray. Hooray! I didn't even mean
But Nick, do you mean who boo Ray? There you go. Got them both in it. Yeah! Hashtag boo Ray.
So, this is set before the events of the series of, everyone thinks, oh, everything's happy at Gracefield House. And Ray's the only one who realizes this is a farm. And essentially, we just see him, slowly kind of realizing what all of the different rules are that they are, living under and stuff. We see him by the end, like figuring out about the tracking device in the ear and stuff. And we see him have this nightmare of all the kids in the house getting killed and he can't do anything about it. And him realizing that even mom is not an ally when he sees her approaching him and stuff. And then towards the end of the chapter, we get this kind of montage of Ray being the only one upset as these various kids are heading off. But by the end of it, as they're getting older and older, he just gets this very more. We see basically Chris. We see him become #Ray on this page. If you pull it up, it's page 15 where he starts off as a teary-eyed little boy, but as time goes on, his hair gets spikier and his eyes get edgier, and now he has to be he goes from why am I the only one who remembers to why doesn't anyone else have baby memories? I don't get it.
Everyone's worthless. They don't understand. Dark Souls is the best game because it's the hardest game. I'm the only person here who could beat it. The world needs me.
Everyone else is like, what's Dark Souls?
Gah, plebeians.
No,
this universe didn't get invented because of the the time divergence. So, and we see him make up his mind that he can't save everyone, so he's just going to try and save his three-way. I mean, his best friends, Emma and Norman. And that's it. We see him take Connie's money so that he can set everything in motion after that. So it's a prequel chapter. There's nice little tidbits here and there, but honestly, I read through all this and I kind of felt like this sort of just seems like it should have just been in the main series at some point or another. It would have fit in pretty well.
Out of place being this release later extra. Yeah, it's cool, but it's out of place.
like an Isabella prequel kind of thing. I could see, that expanding on stuff, and you wouldn't be able to fit it in anywhere in the main series. But this really just kind of like fleshes out a few things that we kind of already knew. I know that this was part of a thing that Shonen Jump is doing to commemorate like all the big series that recently ended. So, because there's a Demon Slayer one as well this week, and I believe there's also going to be a Haikyuu one, but I'm not sure about that. So maybe this was just something that some editor thought of, and then Kai was just like, okay, here we go. So I don't know.
Mm.
Like I say, I think it's good because it's stuff that was set back when the Promised Neverland was good, but it really feels like it could have just been a chapter early on in the series. So
yeah, I didn't read it, to be honest. I've kind of had such a poor taste in my mouth from the way the Promised Neverland ended that I just wasn't really interested in more Promised Neverland.
What was so bad about it, Chris?
Oh, there's nothing. It was a perfect series.
Every Promised Neverland discussion we had over the past calendar year.
I wish they had kept some of like we had gotten this prequel chapter, but it kept a lot of the logic that later Promised Neverland had. So it was like, I can't do it, even though I do have an AR-15 under my bed, an expert marksman trained, and I will just shoot my way through my problems. And I'm like, all right.
And also, I don't remember some of these guys' names, so I guess it's okay if they die.
Yeah. Let's talk about a good series, Nick.
Oh my god. This chapter. So, a lot of crazy shit happened this week in manga, but nothing crazier than the idea presented in this chapter of World Trigger, chapter 202, Gala Paula, part 14.
Let me get my Osama.
No, I need Ace to do it. You need to do the World Trigger. You need to do that.
World Trigger!
There we go. There we go.
So long. So last time we found out that Yotaro is actually the long lost prince of Aristera, and so that's why he's been here this whole time. So
yeah, couldn't you tell because of his super cool helmet?
Such a stupid, amazing line. Because last time he ends the chapter by saying, "Sup, I'm a prince," and this time he says, "Given my super cool helmet, I kind of thought people might have figured it out." He's such a goober. So
matter of fact, like, yeah, of course, come on.
This is what princes do. They wear super cool helmets. So, of course, the guy who's not Reiki, I don't remember his name. They say it again at some point. I don't fucking care. I'll remember it when they say it. I already forgot it. So he's like, no, that didn't give it away at all. We get, of course, like, all right, to recap kind of the stuff that happened last time. Yes, Yotaro's older sister is the Earth-Staring Princess. She operates our Mother Trigger. When the Mother Trigger births Tryon, we use... He starts to say computers, but I think that he's like, I'm not going to explain what computers are. We use machines to control it. So, Reggie's like, all right, so this princess has become a new god then, is that right? So, I mean, your operation seems kind of small if that's the case. Well, no. She operates the trigger, but she's not a god. And the difference is like, yeah, we have a building from this, but if she were a god, yeah, we could just have another planet. So that is the level of difference that having a god to operate your trigger has. So Reiki says, all right, so if you don't have a god, that must mean Border possesses a crown trigger. And so we come out of the flashback from here because Osama's like, what is that? And Yuma's like, yeah, even I don't know what that is. So Jean explains, basically, a crown trigger serves the Mother Trigger as a planet's most powerful trigger. And Osamu is like, very, very good. Audience surrogate. So he repeats back some of the stuff that Jean said and then asks a clarifying question. So, yeah, sometimes a ground trigger guards the Mother Trigger. Sometimes it is wielded to help the planet thrive. It's a tool that, helps out. So Yuma's like, oh, you're talking about Tsuchigami. which are these things that were in the nation that Yuma used to live, where they were just kind of helpful drone robot dog things that went around cleaning up messes, fixing broken buildings, and stuff like that. And so, this fucking reveal. So Osamu says, well, then what's Border's Crown Trigger do? Like, our Crown Trigger is her, and Yotaro points at Raijin Maru, the capybara!
But Nick! Don't you mean Rajin Mabu? The cat
capybara is a trigger!
And look how proud she is of herself. She's just like, yeah.
Capybaras are truly noble creatures. So
They are giant rats, Chris.
that I believe often used to symbolize royalty in the world.
In the world, trigger.
Yeah, they are here. Yeah, he just gets it.
There, one example.
That's all I need. That's evidence.
So Reiki says, "We're certainly learning a lot here." I'm like, yes, you are.
I love the page of Raijin Maru like rampaging, and then just I hope there are like kaiju battles later.
Yeah. No, if you had messed with Yotaro, then there would have been a giant kaiju attack from this capybara. So that all happens. And they're like, yeah, we hope that we can join forces with you. Reiki's like, I mean, okay, but I don't really get actually how this benefits you for us to, be traders. I mean, look, you know that Galapala is a vassal state of Aftokotor, and we're under their control, but our forces are only a tiny fraction of what they have. And this is Shinoda, right? I'm not misremembering that. Glasses dude.
That's Rindo. Oh, now I'm.
I don't know. Have I thrown you off?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's Rindo. Just double check. I was doubting myself.
Okay, so I was misremembering. All right, I'm sorry to have thrown you off like that. So Rindo is like, okay, yeah, we heard, how Galapola's royal family was killed off by Aftokotor. Your mother Trigger was taken hostage, and so just, if you give him apple slices, he'll tell you anything. This little ass. What? Can he eat them? Like what does he just like having the apple slices?
Maybe he just likes people serving him.
Maybe it's the symbolism of it that is all that he's interested. So Rindo is like, hey, look, this guy's side effect is telling us, he points over to Jin, that it's in our interest to team up with you guys. And they're like, what are you talking about? And Jin's like, I can see the future. Future rules.
So, that's right. Let's steal the concept of death battle to have a death battle between Jin and the future devil.
I mean, I don't know if you can hurt the future devil. So.
He always sees it. Every ending's the perfect ending for him.
Oh man, if Denji eats the future devil, does time just stop?
Shit.
Oh, God.
Or we're just incapable of thinking about the future at all.
So Jin says, to add on to this whole I can see your future, if you join forces with us, you won't regret it. So Regi brings back this information to their ship, and the commander is like, I mean, I don't know if I believe him, but that I guess would explain why they seem to be so far ahead of us when we targeted their ship during our last operation. So they talk back and forth about it a little bit, and then eventually Regi says to their captain, like, hey, what should we do? And Captain Gatlin says, well, we don't have enough intel to trust them as negotiating partners, but what would you do? So he starts to say something, and then cut away, and then we cut to the present. And so now we finally found out these are the people that Gene wanted to introduce Osamu and Yuma to. It's Regi and it's Rata. And I've been calling Rata Regi this entire time. My bad. Rata walks up to them. Osama and Yuma introduce themselves and stuff like that. Reiki is like, what the hell is with all these children that are so important, you know? Jin says, all right, so I'm assuming that you are considering, teaming up with us then. And Rada says, well, here's some data on NAFTO's vassal states. We're ready to accept your conditions. As to the matter of us working together in the long term, I've got something with me. And Yuma's like, you gotta tell us what it is, because he's reached into his coat pocket and he's not saying anything. And Rada's just like, well, if you can really tell the future, you can tell me that. And Jin's like, identifies like, it looks like a silver hoop, maybe a bracelet, and there's a floral pattern on it. And yeah, it's exactly what it is. So he hands it over.
I think Reggie fell in love because his face looks very blush in that first panel there.
What I was going to give.
He's like, oh, my heart's a flutter, dump dump.
Chris, don't go down this path. There's no gay shipping for World Trigger. I am very confident in this.
Not at all. I can't think of two
straight series.
I can't think of two characters who would even be compatible in this series.
At all. No. So, Rada explains that the trigger is a communication and homing device, and that he has the corresponding device that matches up with it. So they've got Viver cards that also allow for communication. There you go. So
this is like kind of like anytime you run like a long running tabletop campaign, one of the first things you do is find a way to just give the characters sending for free. You're like, look, yes. Long range communication, you just have it. It's there. You have it now. Don't worry about it.
Split up as much as you want. It's gonna happen anyway.
Yeah.
So they decide all this, and Gene says, okay, well, this will be on the away mission. And that way you'll know our ship's location, you'll know we've kept our promise to delay the mission, and on that note, I'm going to give it to Four Eyes. And he hands it over to Osamu, and Osamu's like...
This isn't my style, sorry. Clashes.
Sorry, I'm very flattered, but it just doesn't go with my jacket. Doesn't go with my sunglasses. So he hands it over to Osamu, and Jin says, look, I mean, this is not going to be my mission. We've got the data after Kotora's underlings, and I can see now that I'll be better off if I hang back and protect the city, because I'm too broken a character to go on every mission with you guys. So I'm going to hang back here. And Osamu looks a little doubtful for a bit. He says, I mean, we'll know each other's location, but couldn't that intelligence be linked back to from Galapolo to Kotor? And Reigi's like, I mean, you guys are keeping enough Tokator POW, so what the hell are you trying to call us on now? Barada just says, you're just going to have to trust us. Yuma nods at Osamu to let him know, like, it's okay, because he can read, you can tell if they're lying. And Osamu's like, all right, fine. Gene's like, yay, an alliance has been formed. You can think of these two guys as Tamakoma's reps, so be sure to play nice. They make some pleasantries, and then Reigi and Rada leave. And Osama then brings up, hey, I get why you wanted Yuma along here, but why am I representing Tamakoma when I haven't even passed the away mission test? And Yuma says, well, maybe Jin saw the future, and so he knows you'll pass. And Jin's like, I don't know about that.
Maybe?
His expression is so good that...
Such a great, like, I don't know. But he's like, hey, just use that as encouragement, though. Kick the test butt, all right? And his son was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then Yuma says, by the way, during the talk right there, the Galapolo guy lied about something. And they ask for clarification, and Yuma just says, the very first thing he said, his name. And so we cut back to Captain Gatlin's ship, and Rada's told them all what's happened, and he says, I'm sorry that I made you all follow my decision, but everyone's like, no, it's okay, it's your call. And Gatlin says, yeah, I call the shots when it comes to this squad, but regarding Galapolo on the whole, you should be the one deciding, and we will obey. And we are reintroduced to Rata, whose true name is Orkun Marduk, Galapolo's fourth prince and fugitive.
I'm going to call him Orky, and I like him a lot. Also, there was. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll just say I like his new haircut. I'm not digging his old one.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be the fantasy elf prince haircut. Get rid of that.
Yeah.
I like it better. This was kind of teased before, not this specifically part of it, but it was supposed to be that he was to claim he was the son of the captain, right? Wasn't that an element before?
If you got captured or something, yeah.
So there was some tease that his true parentage was important. Obviously, him being a prince is a pretty big deal. And it's just a pretty big chapter. It's we're moving on. We're gonna do an away mission. I swear to God, if it's a fight against another team, though, I may lose my mind. I'm like, I can't go back to the rank wars. I can't.
We'll see.
The away mission test. What's it gonna be like? So.
I want to know what was in the bags that Jin brought for them. Because they leave, and then, Rada's got them next to him, and I'm just like, what is this? Is it clothing? Is it food?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, hey, kegger time, all right.
Booze.
They're like, this planet has everything.
I have loved these latest chapters. Rank wars are cool, but, there's so much story coming out, and it's so good. And Raijin Maru!
Now I'm like, we have to get a period of time where someone does piss off Rajimaru and get, the Kaiju Capybara fight. Now that it's been teased, you can't... This is Chekhov's Capybara. You can't not show it.
Especially now, the most noteworthy thing I can think of Rajimaru doing to this point was when Yotaro tried to ride her somewhere and was like, come on, let's go! And she wouldn't move, and he's like, Rajimaru, come on, let's go! And she's just, standing there. So, the idea that would turn into a giant destructive monster is just pets are weird.
Yep. Capybaras truly are the best.
All right. Good chapter of World Trigger. I really like the story progression we've gotten in these latest few chapters. It's a nice change of pace to, nothing happening in that one last rank war battle that we saw. That was just I don't really care what happens between these people.
All right. Let's move on to Eden Zero, chapter 113, in the doghouse. Do you guys have a pet person fetish? No? You're going to have a problem with this chapter then, because...
I'm looking up this chapter. I've not read this.
Well, I'll give you everything you want to know. So, remember that scene from One Piece where they meet the celestial dragons? And period, that's it? Because that's just the entire chapter, basically. It's just the celestial dragon scene for One Piece again. We start off by going to the verdant planet of Foresta, or Foresta.
Which has good food and is very famous for having good food.
Yep, and it's covered in forests. So clearly the person who landed on this planet was very tired when they got there and was just like, it's got a lot of forest. Foresta, I don't know. I just want to go home. I'm very tired. So they land there.
Just one guy is responsible for naming all the planets in the galaxy.
Yeah. So they land on the planet and they're like, hey, I can't connect to the internet here. And they're like, this is strange. Which specifically says, or Sister rather says, something stinks. And Moskoy says, my apologies, and then farts. So he's got a personality. It's coming through every day. They decide to go adventuring. They're going to travel down. And we actually get the one cool thing where Foresta is part of the owl cosmos. There are actually fish that swim just through the forest, and it's a very cool visual. Everyone seems to enjoy it. I don't know why they decided to interrupt it with two characters having a discussion of what's the difference between a forest and a jungle. And then Weiss is a boomer.
It's so that Rebecca can try and Google it, but the internet doesn't work. So
also, Weiss is a boomer, and he's like, why can't you kids 50 years ago in the future go a day without the internet? In my day, we didn't need to use the internet every single day. Meanwhile, his ability is to alter technology he touches, so it's not really blending super well that he would be like, can't you get away from your phone for 1 second? He built an Iron Man suit.
And also in very stereotypical cranky boomer fashion, Shiki and Homura both go, I mean, I didn't grow up with the internet. And he's going to be like, well, you don't count!
They arrive at a town, and they're really excited because, I don't know if you guys heard, Foresta has really great food. So,
Famous for it.
Yeah, can't wait to try it. But when they get there, they find this town where there are robots walking around, but humans are on leashes being walked like dogs. And then there's other humans who have been left to rot, and other humans in cages. What is happening? And we see 2 robots walk up and start talking to each other. And one of them's like, yeah, I think my robot's lost her appetite. She might die soon. And she's really sad. And the other robot's just like, you should bathe her more often. You know, you gotta make sure you clean and bathe your human. And you gotta feed them with old world food. You can't just give them dog food. But the guy who's being walked by that robot's like, oh no, that's my fiance. She's like, I don't think I can go on any longer. Which is weird because we find out later this has only been happening for like a week. So, I mean,
yeah,
I guess I can't really describe how it would be to be dehumanized that fast, but I feel like you wouldn't reach your breaking point that quickly. You know what? We're not going to go there, I guess. It's very sad because the one robot hits her because she shouldn't talk. Robots are like, no, bad dog. I'm going to kick you. And then the one robot's like, oh, you shouldn't hit her because humans are very difficult to repair. You must take care not to break them. And then the one robot shoots the other robot's head off and is like...
Well, his logic isn't even weird, is really weird. So, Dapper Robot, I'm going to call him, is like, you know, humans are difficult to repair. You must take care not to break them. He's not saying, like, don't treat her that way. Treat her, you know, in a way that is respectful and stuff like that. Because, I mean, he's got a human on a leash, too. It's not like that. But he's like, you'll break your property, and it'll be really difficult to fix it, so be more responsible with it. And the guy's like, I cannot. Bots are meant to be free.
He's like,
what you say is heresy.
He shouts as he kills another robot.
Yeah, really? Freedom for robots forever. Die.
It'd be a different case if he killed one of the 2 humans, but he killed another robot. So it's like,
yeah. If he had like shot the other, if he had shot the other robot's human, it feels like it would have been a lot more logically consistent with what he was saying. So
yeah. Then a bunch of people, like, so the group's like, oh no, some people are coming towards us. So they all have to get down all fours and pretend like they're dogs so that Pino and Happy could be like, nope, those are our pets. No need to worry about it. The one robot who comes up is like, but I want one. And I'm like, I mean, that's not how having a pet works. I don't see a nice dog at the park and I'm like, give it to me. You have 3, I want 1. Shiggy uses his powers to break the ground underneath it, and Wise actually does something kind of cool where he just places his hand on the robot's head and like explodes his face, because that's what his ether gear would do. And everyone's like, you didn't kill that robot, did you? And he's like, nah, I just shortened him out. And then I guess Hamura got really into role playing because she's like, arf, arf. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to be saying arf anymore. Then Couch Po shows up. Nick, do you remember Couch Po?
Yeah, she was really into food because she's fat.
Mm-hmm. And she's really this is the plant with the best food. And I'm not certain how this goes because she explains, again, a week ago the robots went crazy. I went to town to get more food. And I'm like, but if humans aren't in control anymore, why would the robots still be making food for humans? That's really
she's
fancy.
Eating pizza in this, like...
Yeah, basically, it's nice to see her. She's like, hey, you know, I was going to be here. They canceled all the flights. Something crazy happened. Someone hacked all the TVs. A skull-faced robot. And it was Ziggy. And he basically told all the robots that the age of humanity was over. And robots were supposed to take over. And all the robots went crazy and either killed or captured all the humans. And Shiki's like, is the robot still here? And I'm like, I don't know. You don't have to be on a planet to hack its systems. And then a gigantic robot breaks into the room and is like, they're humans and food thief. And Couch Pro's like, how rude. I paid for the food. which I kind of wish somebody was like, I don't feel like that's the point you need to be hitting on right now. We're in a little bit more of a dangerous situation. And that's chapter. Shiki blocks the punch and is like, if he's going to hurt my friends, I'll have to take him down.
That's my character motivation. Friends.
Yep.
So, this is all dumb. And that's the end of my thoughts on this.
My thoughts, exactly.
Generally, I don't like. I ever since Shiki used his gravities to pull memories into him, I've been like, okay, I could just accept when Eden Zero is a little bit dumb. But this is legitimately the exact situation that happened when we first met the Celestial Dragons. I think right down to like two like fiancés meeting each other in like the slave position or some scenario that was very similar to that. So it was kind of weird to feel like it was being, parallel thinking. I get that. I'm not accusing plagiarism or anything like that. But it was definitely something where you're like, I remember seeing something that was like this in One Piece, and it was just way better in One Piece because it also didn't cram two other plots into the same chapter. Like, this really felt like a lot to try to put into one chapter.
It's a very crowded chapter, yes. And it's dumb. It's crowded with dumb.
It is very dumb. Nick, we gotta talk about Chainsaw Man. Vroom, vroom.
Chapter 87. Chainsaw Man versus the horrifying weapon humans. That sounds like a movie I'd like to go see.
Yeah.
So, Makima introduces her 7 dogs. Sorry, followers. She says they are not humans, devils, or fiends. The name that referred to them was eaten by human race. So, it really makes catchy terminology very difficult. So could you stop doing that, please? Yeah. But she says, despite the fact that the name that referred to them was eaten, somehow their existence was not. Of the many names you consumed, they are the sole exception. Do you remember? I'm probably not, and he's not talking a lot right now, so no, whatever. It's Makima says the weapon devils and the 4 horsemen who are now here. Sorry, my computer's freezing up right now. So there's a fight that happens between Denji the Chainsaw Man and all of the weapon devil people.
The 7 hybrids, yeah.
Yes. So.
Nope, I think we're losing Nick here.
Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh. So Denji is fighting against 7 of them, and they all strike him all at once. And then, I don't really know what happens. Half the building explodes. So, we know that Denji attacks because he basically super murders like 3 of the hybrids at once and like shoots across half of the city to do it. And it's like basically 7 straight pages of it happening where he's just shooting across the city and smashing through buildings, and then eventually like lands inside one building with like 4 of the hybrids just ripped to pieces. It definitely looks like he murders Quan Ji, and then I don't know the other ones. There's one that looks like a sword devil, and then I think there's another one in there. All right. I think Nick's still having some connection issues. Oh, I'm seeing him now.
Just imagine Chainsaw Man in the world of Kaiju number 8. All the cleanup they'd have to do.
Oh, yeah. You'd be like, man, these guys are annoying. They're always exploding everywhere. They keep killing the tomato devil and he just explodes. Oh, I can hear Nick audibly. I heard him chortle. Nope, still not there. Okay, so basically Denji's just murderized half of them, and then the Katana Devil lands, and he's like, ooh, whatever Kenshin used to say when he would kill you, Umarato, whatever, you are already dead. He does like the big samurai sword slash move, and then he explodes instead. So Denji just eliminates him. And Makima, with as straight of a face as possible, says, okay, this looks unwinnable. And it is the absolute best end to a chapter.
Well, we're screwed.
This is a bad idea.
Maybe we made a little oopsie.
Oh, do we have Nick? I see him looking.
I think that we're finally starting to get back
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Hey.
Yes, Denji basically straight up kills 2 of the devils, and Makima's like, well, all right. So,
Oh, man. It is very funny. I don't know why. I love the end of that. This looks unwinnable. No worry in her face, but that's kind of the face I would have if I was like, ooh, I really thought I had him. I really thought I was the one with the upper hand here.
Doesn't she, like, I was kind of confused. I was pretty far behind on Chainsaw Man, so I kind of marathoned it over the last few days. Doesn't she, like, want to get eaten by Denji, though?
She has kind of this idea that if she does lose, she doesn't mind being eaten by him because there's kind of like an obsession to it. But she is trying to actually win, though, too, because if she can control the Chainsaw Devil, then she could basically erase every enemy and then make the world a better place by erasing all the bad things.
Gotcha.
yes.
This is wild.
Yeah. All right, Nick.
Okay. As soon as I can actually see it. Hang on. Actually, you know what? We're going to go ahead and...
Oh, are we going mobile?
We're going mobile, and just in case.
Yeah.
So, Magu-chan, god of destruction.
Botchnik! Don't you mean Magu-chan? God of... I guess destruction's already pretty bad.
So, we were introduced to the third of the chaotic gods last time. She stands the Holy Knights. She's a basic bitch who stands Holy Knights, and she's very weird. Chapter 14. Chapter 14, a scream of chaos echoes through the school. This is technically a Naputaku chapter. We begin with Naputaku being presented food as he's cleaning up at his part-time job at Ren's family's restaurant, and then he's presented with, his payment, his paycheck. And he looks at it and he's like, what am I supposed to do with these pieces of paper and metal? This isn't food. And unfortunately, he doesn't have the Homer Simpson internal voice to tell him that they can be exchanged for goods and services. So he instead eats the envelope, it looks like. So Ren gets home. And from this, Naputaku learns that Magu's been hanging out at the occult club at the school lately, and so Naputaku's like, "All right, I hate that guy, and I want to kill him." And so he stomps off with one of his hermit crabs in tow. Presumably, the rest are following. At the school, Ruru leaves Magu in the club room, and is like, "Okay, I gotta go off to class, so you be a good boy until I'm back." And Magu says, "Very well, my minion. I shall guard the temple." You do that, buddy. So Ruru heads off, and at that moment, Uneris appears, and she's perched on the back of a pigeon, which I believe is supposed to just be the pigeon belonging to the Holy Knight guy. Shion, I think is his name. And so she's like, "Yeah, I wanted to check out the school." And Magu's like, "You have come to threaten my territory?" She's like, "No, I wouldn't bother. It would be futile to do that. I have only one goal in mind. The school! The fun-filled setting of the countless anime and manga I wanted to see." And she's like, is like visualized in a Sailor Fuku.
What a weeb!
Basically. And she's like, "You could call this a holy pilgrimage." And we are reintroduced to Providential Uneris. Skilled in the art of magic, she is an excessively basic evil god. Just insulting her. Magu with the most cutting line ever. "I've never cared for you." Nabutuko arrives. He's there. He opens the door with the help of his hermit crab pals, and he's chewing out Magu. He's like, "Oh, you thought you could expand your territory? Why is Uneris here?" Because he's pathetic and a coward, you know. So he's all pissed at her because he blames her for the fact that he's stuck in this tiny body. And Magu's just like, I wish you would leave. I just want to be left with my shoujo manga. It's okay. Magu's more like an occult club member than he realizes, isn't he? So. An announcement goes over the PA system, calling for Yuika, who says to herself as she gets the announcement, "I guess they finally caught the false name I put on my test. That can only hurt you, you dumb bitch! What are you doing?" So, the PA system, however, intrigues Naputuku, and Uneris explains how it works, how, it amplifies a voice and stuff like that. And he's like, wait a minute, it amplifies your voice to transmit information. With this, I could expand the power of my madness bark scream thing. I can't remember the exact terminology for it. So he hustles off to go to the announcement room because he's like, yeah, with this, I can extend my voice and have everyone fall under control of it. It's like, all right, that's solid plan. Makes sense. Magu chases after him. So Naputuku is like, stop him, my hermit crab troops! And they make like a pyramid for some reason to get Magu. I don't know. Uneris is flying around, and she's just being basic, and is like, "Ooh, this looks like fun. We're gonna watch." Yuika stumbles across Naputuku and grabs his head because she's awful. And then Kyo spots them and is like, "A cryptid!" And so she tries to approach him with scissors. So now that both of them are chasing after Naputuku, Magu's got some hermit crabs still clamping onto him. One of the teachers is patrolling the hallway, and he spots Magu, but Magu takes his incognito mode and disguises himself as a ball. So the teacher's like, this ball has one eye, but I don't think this is weird at all. So picks him up to confiscate him, basically. Naputuku gets to the broadcasting room, but it's locked. Uneris is watching from outside as she's like, open the door! Use your powers to open the door! Her pigeon starts attacking his head, the poor guy. But she says, I mean, I've got no obligation to help you guys. I just didn't lend my power to humans that I like. I'm not so easy. I mean, you kind of are. I mean, you threw all the other Chaos Gods under the bus because you thought the Knights were cool, so you kind of are. So Nabutuko's like, oh, I know, I'll pay you. And he regurgitates his paycheck and hands his pay over to her. He's like, oh, I mean, this is all I've got to pay you with, though. Just some scraps of paper and metal I got from my part-time work. And Daenerys is like, okay, deal. I'll open the door for you. And she just says to herself, she's counting, is like, I could buy so much anime and merch with this. So she opens the door with her power. Naputuku goes up to the mic. He's like, yes, now I'll make the school mine. Magu is being carried away by the teacher to the gym storeroom. He spots Naputuku through a window far away, so he snags his tentacles around what looks like the bars you see at like the track and field area, like pull-up bars, I think. And so he stretches himself out and then launches like a slingshot, flies through the air, and just as Naputuku is going to unleash his power, flies through the exact same door that is still open behind them and borfs, I don't know, let's just call it Naputuku, and stops him. So the announcement cannot be made. So Daenerys is like, oh, you're no fun. But I guess, I mean, you made it to the broadcasting room, so you could say something in his place. And Maga's like, what are you up to? And Daenerys says, I don't know. I just want to get a taste of this immature human culture, so let's let them listen to some higher being radio. And there's a really weird little joke, but it's still really cute, of her acting as DJ. Like, she puts on the headphones and she dials things up. It's It's the PA system. Like, it can't be that complex.
I like to think their PA system really does have like switchboards and like different levels like going on.
It's a full DJ station. The school budget spending is out of control. They got the most expensive audio setup you could possibly get for this, when all they needed was like a microphone so someone could say, "Gym class is canceled," and that's all you need.
Like the logic was like at a PTA meeting, like, there's concerns about the school spending. Do we really need a $70,000 school announcement system? And like the principal was just like, yes, but what if Drake comes and we don't have it? Then what will he use? And the parents are just like, I guess he's got us there.
Approved. Looks like it's going to be sand for lunch for another year.
We have no desks. We have no chairs. But look at our PA system.
Don't worry, kids. It's all going to be worth it when Drake shows up.
Everyone who was an AV club at school is like, no, that's how it looks like, you idiots. So Magu gets on the PA system, and it goes, about how you would expect it would. He's like, "Listen, foolish lowly humans. My name is Magu Menuaku, god of destruction. Bow before me and worship me, and aid in my resurrection as my followers." And Ruru, of course, immediately reacts to this, and she makes amazing time getting to the room as he's just getting into, like, the really dumb stuff. He's like, "I desire offerings of flesh. I most prefer offerings high in protein, such as natto." And Ruru comes bursting into the room and clotheslines from hell this guy. And then she pet shames all three of the gods with the use the school PA in the school without permission sign. And I like how all three of them are strung up, but only Magu's really being punished because Naputaku is asleep and Inaris is just floating so that there's no tautness to the rope she's strung from. And that's it. That's the chapter.
It's a fun chapter. I really liked it.
You like Inaris maybe a little bit more after this one, or are you just glad that there was more Magu in it?
I'm still not a huge Inaris fan. I think Magu is the perfect joke and everything else is unnecessary at this point. But I liked it better than I think the last chapter.
I like me a basic bitch.
I do love the joke with her, which is just like, she has an incredibly powerful ability. She still has access to seemingly all of it. But she's just like, yeah, I like humans because I'm a massive otaku freak, and so I'm not going to try and take over the world.
So let's talk about We Never Learned then. Question 176. Ooh. A pizza bet equals tomorrow night's Pixie, part 8. So, last time, Yuega's dying, and to save him, they need to do surgery, but Asumi's father has broken his hand and cannot perform the surgery, so Asumi must take it on herself. We got...
I missed so much of this series. What the hell?
So we are you aware that we're currently in alternate route endings?
I had heard that. Yeah.
Okay. So we're in the Asumi ending, and we probably have about a chapter left. Yeah, but Yuega basically saving some kids managed to get impaled on like some wood. And is dying, so Asumi has to perform the surgery to save him. We escalated real quick. 3 chapters ago, it was about monkeys stealing clothes at a hot spring.
And, well, she had to save his life then, too, you may recall, though.
Yes, his social life. He wasn't physically going to die there.
Some girls showed up at the hot spring, and so they saw, if they were to see the two of them together, they'd be like, "Oh no, Yuiga Sensei is a pervert." So he hid under the water, and Asumi had to pass oxygen to him under the water by kissing him. So that was the level of life-threatening circumstance we were dealing with before, and now it's surgery.
Now it's, if I don't do this surgery, the man I love will die in my hands. By my hands too, yeah. So Asumi basically is like, look, being a doctor is hard, right? You know, we struggle. We have to grapple with our powerlessness. We're constantly fighting against life and death. And the best thing I could do right now is serve as your hands. Like, that's what I have to do. So please guide me, and I'll perform the surgery, and we will do our service to, save our patients. And, Yue, our Asumi's father, is like, repeats her whole phrase of like, our purpose as doctors is to serve our patients. Okay. And we see actually a bit of the surgery as Asumi is very nervous. Her hand is trembling. She's freaking out. Her dad's kind of like, hey, you got to pay attention to the branching of the blood vessels. Make sure that, nothing explodes. And as she's worried, she thinks back to Yuiga saying like, hey, don't be worried. Your fear actually proves just how much you care about your patients. So that's much better than a doctor who knows no fear from the start. And I know you could find a way to enjoy even that fear and pressure. And she has a moment where she's just like, okay, it's normal to be afraid. Accept it. Observe your own fear and then focus completely on the person in front of you. Focus on Kohai.
It's a great coming to maturity moment for her as a doctor, which is why it was very important for us to see that her scrubs are riding up her butt crack.
Look,
this series will not stop.
Look, she is performing life-saving surgery, and her badonkadonk be looking fine, all right? Just both of these things can be true and had to be told to us, apparently.
Hey, Yuiga, does Asumi got the booty? Boop. Boop. Come on, Yuiga, don't leave me hanging.
Asumi, sit on his face. Maybe we can resuscitate him. So we get our patented penultimate chapter flashback of the girl remembering all their great times with Yuiga, and it opens with her when the first time she met him, with the narration, the first time I met him, I thought he was lame. I love that opening.
It's nice to have that honesty.
Yeah.
So.
But we see that obviously all the stuff with her father and how Yuiga would pretend to be with her, and then the time she'd get close to him, and then this is the world where she was the fireworks girl. She just says, I wonder when it started to become like this, when you started to become more and more important to me. All these little scenes that add up and eventually leading to the kiss they once shared. And then the Doha-chan invite that she declined. And she's like, the truth is, that day I was really happy. So happy I almost wanted to cry. And when we met again on this island, it seemed like fate. I was so happy. When we said goodbye, I felt like I couldn't face you. But even so, I really wanted to be with you. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was unfair of me. But I really enjoyed flirting with you. And she just apologizes. She says, these characters pick the worst times to do this because she still appears to be in the midst of at least some level of the surgery.
Honey, it's gonna die.
And she's like, hey, Dad, I'm sorry we lied about being a fake couple. It's just him like,
Son, honey, I can't hear you over the sound of your fake boyfriend's death throes.
Asumi, maybe later, you accidentally nicked his heart. So he's like, yeah, I knew. And I could tell that at several points you were actually close to telling me.
I was teasing his heart. It was unfair of me. No, you're like stabbing it.
So he's like, you know what? But hey, it actually seemed like fate because me and his dad way back in the day even brought it up. And you know what? I like him, not as my friend's son or as your boyfriend, but simply I like Yuiga as a human being. And he's like, what do you think about him? And she's like, yeah, I mean, he's more to me than just a prop to convince you with. And then her dad's just like, then who's to say that lie will always stay a lie? Remember what I said when I came to this island, Asumi? No, I wasn't there, Dad. He's like, I came to see my daughter and her boyfriend. Like, I wish the ship captain had poked his head. It's like, that is what he said. I was there. I was there when he was there. He did say it. Because you weren't there, but I am here to affirm that this is what he means.
Mean, it's a bit of a flaw in terms of him asking her, but it is actually a cool bookend.
Yes,
I mean, that's really cool.
It's a very sweet sentiment. And Asumi finishes the surgery by saying, hey, Kohai, when you wake up, I have so many things I want to tell you. I promise not to play games or run away anymore. So please come back to us. And she snips up the end of the surgery with the thread and stitches, and it's a perfect stitch, just like Uega taught her at the very start of the series. We see all the people from the island are sleeping at the clinic, and Uega finally opens his eyes with Asumi over him, and he says, oh, I was just dreaming about you when we first met in cram school. And she's like, oh, me too. And he's like, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you something. And I don't know how he had this in his hand. I don't, like, I there's so much in this chapter, I'm like, logically, this doesn't make sense. But emotionally is destroying me. Because he holds out. He holds out.
Kind of goes, time to open up my ticket pouch.
You accidentally sewed it up inside of me. So he reaches out with the old Doa-chan ticket and he says, Asumi, I love you. Will you be my real girlfriend? And of course, Asumi's first reaction is to be like defensive, like, no, I'm impressed. You really, took me by surprise. And then she's like, fuck it. Actually, I've been loving with you the whole time. I needed to tell you I should be the one. Let me be your real girlfriend. And that's how the chapter ends.
Aww.
It's very sweet.
Oh, yeah.
And so true to Asumi's character, too. For her to, have this thing of like, I want to tell you the things that I didn't tell you because I've been teasing you this whole time. But then once they're out of the woods, she's so shocked that she goes into like, the defensive mode. And then she's like, no, yes, I love you. So it's very sweet.
Yeah.
And this, I imagine that we're probably going to basically get the epilogue after this because this is chapter 8. So we're probably going to, get that like flash forward that we've gotten from the others of seeing them actually in a relationship. So this is kind of the end of their actual like the story of how they got together. And in terms of all that we've gotten the 4 that we've gotten so far, this is definitely a contender, I think, for the best one.
Yeah.
Very, very over the top and dramatic, but you know what? It worked really well. And it was fun to see the two of them bounce off each other because they did have a really fun character dynamic all through this series. And so it was nice to see this route that it took.
I think this has been the most entertaining one. And I think Uega and Asumi probably have the best chemistry. Aruka's still probably the canon ending in my mind. But this one was definitely where I was like, this showed the potential of these alternate endings kind of thing. Because if I really was and I am a big Asumi fan, if I want to, I can accept this as my ending. And if I really, really wanted to and be like, he ends up happy with her and everything like that, I will be really curious to see if the next chapter includes any of the other girls, because now this is looking like the only part that will have not included any of them. And Nick, I am banking on next chapter, Sekijo and Ogata walking on that island hand in hand, like we got married. And I'm like, yes, I need this pizza.
Maybe Asumi will ask him like, by the way, what happened to those like girls you were tutoring? And you just gets a dark look on his face and he's like, they died in a horrible car accident. I try not to think about that day.
Well, Ogata was murdered by a ghost in her apartment. And Fumino eventually was so embarrassed to talk to anybody that she actually faded away from reality.
What about Aruka? Oh, she's doing great, actually. We still hang out sometimes.
She got bit by some shit in Australia and died. I don't really know what, but I was told it's not that common, or not uncommon.
Oh man, you looking forward to the Kirisu arc, Chris?
So now that we know you could do a story where you advance the plot forward a good while, hopefully that's what they're going to do with the Kirisu chapter, so we can really get away from the weird power dynamic relationship thing. So I'm optimistic. But I am expected it to be the part I enjoy the least. And that says a lot because Ogata's part was straight dog doo-doo.
Bold prediction. We're going to actually go back to that part where Kirisu's boobs set Yuiga back in time, and he'll stay there this time. And so they'll actually grow up together.
That's, I guess, an ending they could do, too. I suppose her boobs could send him back in time again. Only in fucking manga.
So, Ace, you read this chapter with, like, no context then?
No context.
Okay, what did you think of it?
I mean, it was pretty different from the last chapters I read, which was still just like wacky hijinks in high school. But it's very cute.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sweet chapter. And it's kind of nice to come back after so long and just have like, oh, it's not just, you know, the kind of does he like me? Do I like him? It's the actual like, yeah, you know, here's a conclusion. It's nice to see them get together.
You should have seen the Ogata arc where that happened and it was still terrible. So
Ooh, I'm gonna read that after this. I bet. I am upset that we still have black hole asses for girls though.
That's, hey, you know, what can you can't win every battle, you know? Sometimes your ass is just a vacuum that sucks up your clothes.
Just put plug in it. Just
well, that will solve the problem and create another one. So
I wish I had the ability to at that point click the button to get the Dakota Johnson "What's a butt plug" quote from 50 Shades.
That definitely seems like something that if we like edited the podcast, it would just like immediately like pull up Dr. Stone. Right. Dr. Stone. Z equals 168. Corn City. Population 1 million. I've had to remind myself what happened in this chapter multiple times. Not because nothing happens in it, but because a lot actually happens in it very quickly. So, last time, Chrome met up with the group that was there to retrieve Zeno as part of their operation. They successfully captured him. Hooray. And he got in contact with everyone with Senku over the cell phone and everything. Then we see Max, the other of Luna's admirers, and he stomps off he stomps over to Luna. That's what happens. And is like, oh, what's going on with you? And as he unties her, because he thinks, oh, you know, she's on our side, she whispers to him, by the way, I'm Senku's girlfriend now. So he makes the decision at that point. He's like, all right, you want to rescue your new man, who do you need? And Francois, at that point, wiggles their way over, and together they and Luna tell Max what they need in order to, you know, hey, we gotta go perform first aid, and also we need Kaseki in case we need to do repairs on the aircraft. So they get over to Max, goes and grabs some supplies, and he just comes back with Kaseki hanging from one hand. So presumably Max is kind of built, because just carrying a fully grown muscular man under one on by the strength of one arm. So they basically utilize Kaseki's humor shtick for a practical purpose, because he's like, oh, don't bother untying me. Just tell me about one of the amazing machines Zeno has crafted. And Francois is like, well, there's a device that cultivates the earth with blades powered by an engine called a tractor. And Kaseki's clothes and the ropes burst off.
I like that it's not even that cool of an invention. Like, it's just a tractor, and that's enough for it to be like, yes! And shoot out of the ropes.
So they jump off of the Perseus with their supplies, And they're like, all right, here we go. Actually, Francois and Kaseki jump off, and then Luna and Max excuse themselves, like, oh no, 2 of our prisoners fell in the river. We better go rescue them. Announcing that they're leaving. They head off. I do like that in the next shot, we see Kaseki's got his clothes on, and there's a very obvious new on them to let you know that he's wearing a new change of clothes. Their communication happening, traveling happening. The groups are reunited, so now Zeno is part of the united group, and Senku comes across them as well, and he points out to them, hey, by the way, you don't actually need to hog tie him like that. Just, make sure his hands are tied together, because, until his people actually get here, he's not just gonna resist for no reason. He would never act illogically like that, because Dr. Zeno is a world-class science pro. And Zeno looks at Senku in a way that concerns me because of the age difference between them. And also because he's betraying his real boyfriend, Stan.
Yeah. So. That's the biggest issue here.
The 2 of them go off to talk together, I guess, to just kind of like catch up and see where they stand with each other. And Zeno's like, so you did survive. Stanley would never fail to make a killing shot, so you must have used scientific measures to foil the bullet and defy death. Truly, science is elegant. And Senku's like, it's been a long time since I was sending emails to you when I was in 3rd grade. Yes, remember that. Stop looking at him that way, Zeno. He was like 8, and when you were like 20-something, so... So... Zeno analyzed, like, what the heck are you even planning? You've got no base to return to. My people have defeated your friends. They've taken over the ship. You've lost. And Risu says, that's true. And since we can't go back, we have no choice but to move forward. And Chrome has no idea what this means. So, but at that moment, Luna's group arrives. And so they all reunite. Luna starts to get emotional because Senku's all safe, but she quickly, gets control of herself again. Francois sees how the state of things, and so they immediately set up a table so that they can dine together. And then there's a nice but very, very small little moment where Carlos is really glad to see that Luna's okay, and then Max is like, hey, how's it hang, Carlos? And then there's just kind of like silence between them while Luna doesn't look at them, and then they just kind of clap bro hands together, like, aw, they care about each other. So Luna has a brief fantasy of Senku turning into a shoujo love interest, to be I long to see you. Did you flee to be at my side? Job well done. But then she kind of collects herself and is like, okay, I know what Senku's like now. He would never actually act that way. But Senku goes up to her and he's like, so you managed to get away with Kaseki and Francois. Job well done. So he does actually compliment her. And so Luna's kind of happy with that because she's like, I was half right. Ukio's like, okay, we're ready to move on. And Taiju's like, why do you decide that? Who made you leader? He's confused.
That's mine.
Yeah, so here's where things get weird. So they're like, when the main force returned from their mission, as in Zeno's main force, Stanley's force returned from their mission, we're done for. We can't beat them because they got the machine guns. So this is our chance, while security is light. They'll never expect us to return right after the Great Escape. And so they drive the science lab thing up onto the boat that they used to intercept the Perseus, and they're borrowing it, and they drive off with it. And then Kohak is like, so are we gonna attack them? And Hyoga's like, no, we would die then. Senku says, the goal is diplomacy. This is the New World's first and last leadership summit between Japan and the United States. So he asks Chrome, like, hey, out of all the Americas there, who do you think would be the most reasonable, the one we could actually talk to? And Chrome's like, the big doctor guy, because he actually analyzed the situation before, didn't rush off. He wanted to make sure that both Zeno and I were rescued properly. So they get in touch with them. They asked to talk with him, and so Senku's like, "Hey, We want to have like because the guy's like, if you want a hostage exchange, the numbers are on our side. And Senku's like, that's true. So to make up the difference, how about some info that you'll be excited about? Do you want to know how people break out of the stone? The revival fluid recipe is alcohol plus nitric acid, which makes nitol. And Zeno is shocked when he hears this. The doctor is shocked when he hears this. And they're like, he's like, look, all you gotta do is just use that corn that you've got all that stuff for. And the people from my ship know the details. They can tell you, and they can help you out. And so, get a million people revived, build a massive corn city, and that way our goals are aligned. And the doctor says, I mean, so you're doing this to guarantee the hostage's safety, I see. Well, Stanley would never agree to terms like that. He'll track all of you and Zeno down to the ends of the earth. And Senku's like, yeah, we're going to keep on running away from him. I'm busy, and I have things to do, so I have to get this corn plan going. So do that, basically. And so the doctor's like, I mean, so you're forging an alliance while we're waging war, basically. You're crazy. Nikki, who is still in the Perseus held captive, says, no problem. You're leaving Corn City in our capable hands. And so we see that there are some people being left behind here in Corn City while Senku's group heads off. As we get this big narration saying, here in the Stone World, we'll bring together 1 million people. Corn City's been founded. And I guess that they're working together now, but Stanley clearly has not agreed with this. So is he still chasing them? What's going on?
From what I understand, Senku, they had a hostage deal, and they were like, well, they're never going to make the deal because even though we have Zeno, they have like 60 of our friends. So we won't be able to make that deal. But if I give them the information on how to revive people, then they could go right back to building their big city like they are planning to. I guess if we have Zeno, they won't make it like a war city necessarily because this guy seems to be a decent dude, all things considered. And we're going to have to leave behind everybody else to help build that city that isn't already here. And Stanley just will be the one kind of exception to that because they have to keep Zeno, it seems. So it's a very confusing ending, but the implication seems to be that quite a few characters are not going to be part of the main cast for at least a little bit.
Yeah, we've got all those battle characters that were introduced and stuff that don't have a lot of character, like Matsukaze. And it's like, yeah, we're just leaving Kinro and Yuzuriha and Nikki and Magma behind because who cares about them? Nobody. Nobody cares about Yuzuriha or Kinro. Nobody.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed we're not going to have Ginro around or Yuzuriha. I don't really care about Magma or Nikki that much. And then losing like the 6 other fighter characters they had, like Mose and Balloon Suit Girl and all those and whatever samurai guy, like those are fine. I'm actually pretty happy about that.
I don't know if they've been left behind or not. So
I believe they were defeated and we haven't seen them. But again, the fact that we're not seeing them could easily mean they're sneaking off to be like an expert like fight force later on. I don't know, but it's definitely something where I'm like, this ending is kind of confusing. I do like the implication that Stanley is going to continue to be an important character, but outside of that, it was a kind of very busy conclusion to this arc. When they were like, Corn City founded, I was like, is it? I don't...
Yeah, I would like a character roster in the next chapter of some kind to know like where everyone is now because I'm confused.
Put a little map.
Help me figure it out. All right, let's move on to Mashle, Magic and Muscles, Chapter 33, Mash Burn Dead, and the Knee Strike. I was enchanted, by the way. I did go through Mashle's other chapters and find out they have changed all the chapter titles to Mash Burn Dead. So now that is a consistent change. So Mash is standing before Lord Abel, who says, I should say I'm impressed. Mash is like, thanks. And he says, and that's all I have to say about that. And then Mash punches himself. And he just starts immediately, like, gum Gatling punching himself over and like, ah! And you can see that he is being puppeteered by Lord Abel himself. And Abel just, like, commands him to start choking himself. And then Mash just stops for a moment. And he's like, what was that? Abel's like, not really a fair fight, is it? It lacks a certain class. So then he sends a puppeted version of Finn out holding a battle axe. And he's like, yes, I captured him thinking it would be amusing, but your spiky-haired friend...
that happened off screen. Shut up.
Well, that's why I was confused. I was like, is that Rain? And I was like, no, he says Finn. But yeah, he explains he captured him off screen, and Barrett was too injured to basically do anything with. So he's going to use him now. And we see Finn run up and swing, and he's like, you can't possibly hurt him. You can't defend yourself, because if you do, I will break your friend. And Mash just has the whatever face. He's like, okay, so that's the way you play. And Abel's like, okay, fine, let him break you then. And he just starts getting thwacked over and over again as Abel's doing his whole, you can't make these choices, blah, 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 you aren't truly noble. And then the axe that he's swinging just breaks, and Mash is like, you think you're pretty deep, huh?
So insulting. He's got this whole speech that's like, clearly he's practiced delivering this in the mirror or something like that. Can you not choose? Can you make the sacrifice? Of course you can't. We all want others to think us noble. I, however, reject that fallacy. Sounds like you think you're pretty deep, huh?
Love in the background be like, oh, no, now it's really on. So Mash takes out his gold coin, and he says, all right, you want the gold coin? If you want it that much. And then he flicks it so fast, it cuts all of the strings on Finn, and then circles back to Mash. He's just like, I guess the coin just really likes me.
I like when he flicks it, even his hair goes back from the force.
It swings all the way around, so then, Abel's puts his puppeteer strings all over Mash again. He's like, fine, but this exchange bores me. It's pointless to struggle. You are a mere puppet after all, just like the others. And Mash starts walking towards him and says, no, you need to apologize for what you did to my friend. And as he takes steps forward, you start seeing Abel's fingers get bent backwards and cracking. And he does. It's so awesome that he just uses sheer power to basically break Abel's fingers, and then walks all the way up and delivers this crazy 2-page spread knee strike. It's so awesome.
I love the difference between the kind of shitty drawings of Mash, where he's just like, okay, whatever, and then you have these amazing 2-page spreads. It's kind of got that, One Punch Man vibe,
Oh, yeah.
I love this series so much.
It's
so dumb. Every chapter I at least giggle.
Oh, yeah. You get a good laugh pretty much every chapter at some point. I don't know why I really love the idea of him being like, how weird. I guess the coin really likes me.
Yeah.
Oh, man. For me, this chapter is made by just that first panel of Abel's finger getting bent all the way back. Where you realize, he's so screwed now.
It's such a cool way of doing it, too. The idea he's being puppeteered, and he's just like, I'm just going to overpower you and break your fingers.
That sort of injury is like I can watch people getting impaled and stuff. I mean, in manga, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. But the finger bending all the way back is just, it squicks me so bad. But it's so cool. It's you feel his force and his strength. It's very cool.
Good shit. All right. Okay, y'all. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. It's the Ayakashi Triangle discussion under our weekly manga recap. Featuring not Hatsune Miku. Not Hatsune Miku. Hatsune Mei. That's why I got confused. Mei Hatsume or Lala from To Love Ru or any number of hot inventor girls from Shonen Jump, basically. A new version of her has arrived for Ayakashi Triangle. because exorcist ninjas need gadgets, the way. Yeah. We begin chapter 15, Exorcist Ninja Tool Shop, with Matsuri has tracked down another Ikon, the same as the kind that was tormenting Lou a few chapters before. He's going to go deal with that. Shirogane is tagging along just because. And so Matsuri is like, all right, time for my magical girl transformation. Suit up. Gonna don the ninja gear. And the gear is broken. And I don't know why. He was wearing a full set of clothes before, but now that the ninja gear is broken, the only thing that's on underneath it is underwear.
Of course.
That's how ninja tools work, Nick. If they explode, you just have nothing on underneath.
Fortunately, Matsuri is still able to deal with the Econ off panel. And the gear is broken, so he's catching up with Ninokuru, and there is a very dumb observation that Ninokuru makes, which is, you should be careful, or you might end up showing off your fundoshi underwear too. And then Matsuri says, not that it's any of your business, but I'm a boxer briefs guy. It's like, but you're wearing the fundoshi. Who is talking?
I have no idea. This exchange, I was like, what?
Third guy is there. Maybe one of them said that. I don't know.
Yeah, in my mind, I was like, is this the conversation that's happening at school, or are they having it happen right here?
Okay, judging by word bubble shapes and such, I think that the one who says you might end up showing off your fundoshi underwear is Matsuri. And then so Ninokuru, I think, is the one after that who says, not that it's any of your business, but I'm a boxer briefs guy. So he's just being a weirdo, I think.
I think the one who says you might show off whatever is the little bird thing that follows him.
That's what I just said, yes.
That's not Matsuri, is it?
Did I say Matsuri?
Yeah, that's what got me
The
confused.
bird guy says that, and then I think Ninokuru is the one who says, I'm a boxer briefs guy.
Gotcha.
Okay. This was very important that we
had to establish,
random.
which character wears boxer briefs.
Ninokuru is like, I have to go home and train because Matsuri tries to invite him to go to the ninja tool shop. It's like, hey, let's go do this. And Matsuri, however, admits, like, hey, I'm frustrated too because Ninokuru is like, I can't protect Suzukanade. And Matsuri's like, I'm frustrated too. I mean, if Garaku had been, serious during that fight, I would have been killed. So that's frustrating. But hey, we'll get stronger together. And he means it as like a, hey, bro, exorcist ninjas. But Ninokuru is like, you have boobs now, so this makes me doki doki. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. So, Matsuri heads off. Before we catch up with him, however, we actually see Suzu being proactive.
But Nick, don't you mean boo boo? Spookoween! Now I'm going to be in full darkness.
All right, you deal with that.
No, I'm
Suzu's
scared.
trying to be... that lasts a long time. Suzu tries to be proactive. She's trying to train her Ayakashi medium. That's it. Or Ayakashi god abilities, whatever. By trying to channel Haku into a paper crane, but she burns it up immediately, so it doesn't work. Garaku's like, you put too much Haku in there, so, try imagining it moving like a crane while you're folding the paper. While he's giving instructions like this, he's snuggling Shirogane, who doesn't like it because he's a cat. I mean, let's be real, that's why he doesn't like it. It's no other reason. Garaku's trying to be encouraging and stuff like that, and he says, hey, if you can actually fully control your medium power, it might not be impossible for you to undo Shirogane's jutsu. And Shirogane is like, what? I thought you were helping me! What? Whose side are you on? But Garaku says, well, I'm on no one's side. I just want to draw the complete Ayakashi medium. It's the nature of a brush Ayakashi, perhaps. So Shirogane is like, fuck this guy. Matsuri catches up with Suzu, and they head off to the ninja tool shop together. And they stop outside of a toy shop, and Matsuri's like, ooh, switch on Myoji stuff. And Suzu's like, I thought you were, okay, you just wanted to buy toys, what? And Matsuri says, no, you see, it's like Burn the Witch, how everything has stuff that flips over. So if you don't have the sight. It just looks like a toy store. But inside, mixed amongst the toys, are real Exorcist ninja tools with a jutsu cast on them so normal people can't recognize them. Fair enough. So that all happens. Another Ikon appears and starts wrapping around Shirogane, who immediately is like, "It's trying to touch my butt! It's trying to violate me!" So he's got no cool. Matsuri observed rightfully, like, why do all these Ikon keep appearing? But at that moment, a roller skate waifu appears. And she has, she touches her shoes to summon roller skates, skates towards it, and she's got, like, special lenses in her goggles, and then she's got I'm not even sure what to call this. It's like a syringe, basically, that she uses to suck up the Ikon. And she's like, yeah, so there's a jutsu inside here that seals the Ayakashi so it can't escape. Yeah, it's my new latest sealing tube tool thing. And Matsuri introduces her as an exorcist ninja who creates things as part of the Korogi clan. They've been making exorcist ninja tools for generations. Her name is Reo Korogi. She gets this big full-page introduction. Reo is familiar with Matsuri, and there's all this stuff about that they get catching up and so on. Shirogane, the Ikon gets loose, breaks out of the sealing tube thing. Matsuri pushes Reo out of the way and says, "Research time's over, I'll scatter to the winds." And he tosses shuriken that blast away the Ikon, and then immediately Reo's like, "Ooh, sensational," and like glomps onto him and presses him to the ground and is on top of him. And is like, "Oh, I should expect no less of the person who was my first." And immediately Suzu just goes, "First what?" And that's where the chapter ends.
So, hey, there's, I guess, an archetype in anime and manga of cute inventor girls, and you got to capitalize on it.
Cute pink
she wears a really cute outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess maybe some people will like that. It's easy undie access there.
Mm-hmm. That's, I think, one of the reasons why she wears it. That's actually an invention of hers. The knot pants is what
she's
they call
got this, like, I'm not sure if it's a coat or just a long satchel. I guess it's a coat because you can see the sleeves. And yeah, she wears her under waist, which allows her to, carry more tools and stuff. But then, yeah, during the cheesecake part, it flips up and you see that she's just got really, really short spats under it, unless that's just her underwear. So, I don't know. You'd think that she would be wearing pants with that whole getup.
You would hope. Yeah, this is the first chapter of the series I've read, but, like...
You're in for a treat.
Yeah, all I had to see on the first page was by Kentaro Yabuki, and I was like, oh, I know exactly what type of series this is. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Requires no further,
Yeah, I understand.
Honestly.
Okay.
Again, I like that his daughter enjoys the series and is giving him, like, tips on things. Like, that's, like, the most wholesome thing in Jump right now, is that she's like, are you going to reveal this in this chapter? Like, maybe.
The only other observation I really have to have about this entire chapter is Suzu, of course, has the immediate jealous reaction when someone else is getting on her man while her man don't have the thing that she wants. But the exact wording of her reaction I do enjoy because Reo says the very suggestive, the person who was my first. Is Suzu's like, first what? What are you actually saying?
Okay. Let's wrap this up. Let's talk about Black Clover.
Black Clover!
Page 266, Dark Garden Invitation. And we have Nature Boy Ric Flair on the cover, and Brawla messaged us earlier to say that this is a reference to the Town Musicians of Bremen, which is the Band of Animals reference that we also saw in Burn the Witch not that long ago.
Very cool.
So this chapter...
Does Ace know why we call him Nature Boy Ric Flair?
No.
I can't pronounce his name. Well, no, I can.
Wait,
I'm not giving it to the Germans. Well, no, because our German listeners were like, it's not Nate or notched. It's like like you have to make the CH soft but hard at the same time. I'm like, fuck you. He's Nature Boy Ric Flair now, and he will be that forever.
So yeah, instead of being Nacht or Nacht, he's now Nature Boy Ric Flair, which is way easier for Chris to say, isn't it?
It's so easy. It rolls off the tongue.
Syllables instead of learning how to pronounce the one.
I say Nature Boy Ric Flair 70 to 80 times a day without the podcast. So
you guys know, oh god, what's his name? Finral's brother. I can never remember his name because I always call him Falafel, because that's what you guys called him at one point. So he comes in and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Falafel.
You want to know what's best? I don't even know what his name is. I'm like, is it Falafel?
It's not.
Well,
see, but I can't. Like, it just stuck in my head. So like, even when like I go to the office and I'm talking to Alexi about Black Clover, I'll be like, and then Falafel comes in and he looks at me like, what? Oh no, the brother.
I like to think that there was one draft.
Which of the many characters in the series?
You sent in a draft and you were just like, I'll never let you get away with this, Falafel.
I mean, like, his name isn't even anything close to that, too. So.
Okay, so this is a little off topic, but
we don't do that on this show.
Years ago, for World Trigger, I would write like my thoughts when we had the first editor Hope. I'd write my thoughts and I'd do these like screen caps and I'd rewrite what the characters are saying to have it go with our terrible like head canons and stuff. And once I forgot to change it back.
Oh no!
I mean, it got caught, but like there's a note that was like from Hope Flip that was like, haha, yeah, now actually follow the script or something like that.
Someone was like, Yuega's really into Osamu this chapter. This isn't even like ho yay teasing. This is just straight up they're going for it.
Man, I'm gonna see if I can find that panel. I screen capped that.
I hope we can see that. So to the chapter itself, we open with the Wizard King talking to Gaja, who's just like, hey, we'll be joining your fight against the Spade Kingdom. And Gaja's basically like, I will save you. We get like this dual parallel of Gaja being like, I will save you, Lord Pachika. And Charlotte being like, I won't let you die like this. Hold on, Yami. So they're coming as well. Then the rest of the chapter is Nature Boy Ric Flair just fucking dressing down the Black Bulls and being a dick. He's
such an asshole.
He's so mean.
I love how he's just always like, oh, you're like this? I hate that.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'm only here. I hate the Black Bulls. That's why I usually don't show up. It lets me operate as a magic knight, but it's just for convenience. You guys suck. I hate that you guys are a bunch of good-for-nothings that damage everything. All of you have screwed up. You're a brazen witch who does nothing but drink. You're a spatial mage who is so careless with women that it interferes with her mission. You're a ruined noble and a former convict. And the other two of you aren't even here. Where the fuck is Zora? Do any of you know? And then Gray pipes up and is just like, yeah, but they're all good people, so don't judge him by how he looks. And he's like, if you don't want to be judged by the way you look, then don't look like that. And you're like, Jesus, man. He's such an asshole.
You think that this is the reason that he's never around actually that he hates the Black Bulls? Or is it that he has no people skills and no one wants to be his fucking friend? Like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
He's so mean. He just fucking yells at them for like 8 straight pages. And then they're like, so you got to get stronger. And he just leaves. He teleports away. You all suck. I don't like any of you. Be better. Bye. And then he just sinks down through the floor.
He's such a jerk, but I can't help but like him. He's just so matter of fact, like, yeah, you guys suck anyway. If you don't want to die, see ya.
Oh, Nick,
So I think we can draw a conclusion from this because this is twice in a row now that it's worked really well. If you want a new member of the Black Bulls to be really popular among the weekly manga recap hosts, have them be a gigantic asshole in their introduction. It worked with Zora. It worked with this guy.
I will say, Nick, pencil this in. We have to do a WMR Lives on this chapter, so you can do this as a Ric Flair heel promo, basically, because it's a pretty good one.
It's a little bit too passive aggressive for Rick, I think.
That's true. He doesn't elbow drop his jacket once. How will people go?
I mean, more in terms of like, instead of saying like, you're like this, I don't like that, he would be like, you're an asshole, you're a worthless son of a gun.
Nature Boy Ric Flair shows up at a different place with Asta, and he's like, yes, this is what my shadows do. They let me transport myself everywhere, like other places. And Asta tries to kind of have a conversation like, oh, so kind of like spatial magic. He's like, shut up. We're here. Like he just drops that train of thought. And he's like, we're at this old house. It belonged to a certain noble. And he's like, what noble? And he's like, shut up. Stop asking good questions. He takes it to a room and he's like, here you go. All right, this is what's going to happen. And Asta's like, there's nothing in the room. He's like, oh, but is it there? And he uses this dark magic and basically like traps Asta in a new dimension. It's called the Dark Garden Invitation, which I think is where the chapter title comes from. And Nature Boy Ric Flair just says like, all right, for the next 2 days, I'm going to teach you everything I know about devil magic. And as a result, you're going to grow exponentially. And Asta gets excited. He's like, oh, we're going to be training. And he's like, no, not really. Not the way you're thinking. You see, you're only using like trickles of power from your devil. We're talking about performing a devil binding ritual that will allow you to make a contract with the devil and formally make its power your own. He says, normally it requires a connection to the devil like this necklace I have that's linked. But you're a different story because you gave your whole fucking arm to him. So you're kind of connected on a stronger level.
Your arm is the totem. We'll use that.
Yeah.
Here, give me that.
So Asta steps in the magic circle, and his arm vanishes away, like dark energy kind of wisps away, and it's gone. And a devil stands before him. And the devil just says, well, look at that. Who'd have thought you'd release me voluntarily? And Nature Boy Ric Flair says, you fight the devil and win. And that's it.
There we go.
Big stuff's going down. This is a detail that I didn't actually notice until we were going through the chapter just now. But right after Asta's like, whose house is this? And Nacht says, a certain noble's, a former noble. We get a shot of a family portrait, and one of the children in the portrait has this big black blotch streaked across their face, so we can't see who they are. So presumably there is some significance to this.
Yeah, it's Nature Boy Ric Flair's house. Come on. I mean, let's be real.
I think that there's going to be some stuff with his family. I don't want to spoil too much, but Alexi came up with a good idea about connections to other characters that he has. Maybe I'll tweet when. Yes. Anyway.
Okay. I'll look forward to it.
I think they're setting up some cool stuff here, but.
I was neighbors with Gauch, and that guy's just always been a creep around his sister. I hate that guy.
Like, I don't know if this is really a twist. All right, that's going to do it. There's no One Piece this week. I think One Piece comes back 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Oda fell ill and needed a bit of time to recover, and there was already a planned break, too, that I think was going to happen, so I think it's going to be another 2 weeks. But yeah, a lot of good chapters this week.
Yes.
But what was the best chapter? Favorite chapter of the week and MVP?
Ace, would you like to start?
It's World Trigger.
It's World Trigger.
World Trigger.
That does make sense.
You make a good point.
It is a very good point. What about MVP?
Come back to me on that one.
Okay. I can do both of mine. I'm going to give my chapter of the week, I think, is going to go to We Never Learn. It was a really, really good chapter. and really strong. My character of the week has a small kind of asterisk next to it. So my character of the week is Rajin Marbu from World Trigger. But he has to, or she has to be put in as Rajin Marbu. Because if Ninja does not do it with Rajin Marbu, then it's MASH. I need it to be Rajin Marbu. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
All right. So there were a lot of good chapters this week. Okay. Spy Family was back on form after kind of dropping off during this whole tennis arc thing. Their World Trigger was great. We Never Learn was great. Had a great conclusion to that story. I mean, any which way I turn, I don't think you can really go wrong. Chainsaw Man was great just because it was just a big action chapter that ended on the amazing line from Maki. Was like, well, I think we're going to lose, so, but no other chapter introduced the concept of a capybara being a powerful weapon that could potentially turn into a giant monster and go on a rampage. So I'm going to go with World Trigger, yes. Also, shout out to Mashle, was a good chapter too.
Yes.
My MVP,
Rajin Marbu.
I'm going to go with Nash, because he's such a dick. Like he's such an unnecessarily mean person. Like, he doesn't need to do this, and it doesn't benefit him at all. But he's like, I don't like you guys. That's it.
All right.
So yeah.
I'm kind of torn. I'm torn between 3 characters.
Okay.
Which would be Noct, Raijin Maru, and MASH. Since you guys covered 2 of them, I'll choose MASH.
All right. There we go. Full representation across the board. And hey, you know what? You align with what the audience said. MASH was the character of the week for the audience, and their series of the week was We Never Learn.
I'm a little disappointed in you, audience.
You know, there was a strong, after World Trigger came back, there was a strong, 8-month streak where no matter what chapters happened, World Trigger won chapter of the week. So the spirit is still there. The spirit is still there.
Thank you, listeners. You have partially redeemed yourself.
Yeah.
I think that it didn't help World Trigger this week that Asumi is a lot of people's favorite love interest for Yuika. So seeing the culmination of that was pretty powerful. So.
All right.
Understandable.
We are going to call it there, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Weekly Manga Recap. And thank you, Ace, for joining us. It has been so wonderful having you back on the show, getting your opinion on some series that we never got to discuss with you before, including ones you hadn't read before we invited you on.
This was also the first time I think we've had you on since World Trigger returned as well, which we've taken too long to do that. So that's on us.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I always have a good time.
Wonderful. All right. We want to thank everyone for joining us for the recording of the show. We do it here on twitch.tv/RoloT. Wednesdays, normally somewhere around 7:30 to 8 Eastern time. You can follow us on Twitter at WMR Podcast. This is the podcast account. At RoloT is him. At Nick F Time is me. And then there is at Kaito_Ace. KAITOU_ACE. Where you can find many things, mostly core related, but many things.
Mostly Final Fantasy 15. Not gonna lie, with a smattering of World Trigger in there.
You can check out all of our past episodes on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com, as well as anywhere else that gets the podcast feed. Send us feedback, ask us questions for the Q&A episode, suggest future manga for us to read, and keep track of all the stuff that we've done in the past, and audience MVPs, and characters of the week, and all that stuff via the Google Doc, which is maintained by Ninja X3i. Thank you for helping us out with that. Special thanks go out to our Patreon supporters. You allow us to create bonus content for you guys to enjoy. We will have something cooking very soon for you. To Steve Manotaka Artist, you can check him out anywhere boobs are allowed to be drawn. To Infamous Planet for whipping up the new framework for the visual stream of the podcast. And to Milo Jack Stillitz and Wizard L. Cheddar for creating the opening theme for Weekly Manga Recap.
Indeed. And that is going to do it.
It is Halloween month.
Is it?
Which means that we have Halloween recommendations they're going to begin working through. Including...
Are we going to catch back up on Tokyo Red Hood?
No. So... Never. But we are going to be looking into a weird series. It has been recommended to us as a weird series. And hopefully it doesn't have any of the things that Tokyo Red Hood had in it that made me go, no. It's a series called School Mermaid or School Ningyo, in which mermaids, quote unquote, are featured, but they're not really mermaids. I don't know. I've been told that it's horror, and it definitely seemed like it had horror elements when I kind of flipped around through a few chapters. So
interesting. All right. Well, that's what we're gonna do. But who knows who might show up next week? You know, could even be a spookier version of the Spookmaster General, Nick. Remember last year when Thor showed up?
Yes.
Who knows? Who knows who could show up next week? It's not gonna be Thor. I sold it. It's not gonna be Thor. I lost 40 pounds. I can't even be Fat Thor anymore.
Congratulations.
No, I don't want praise. We're into the podcast. You can't compliment me. Goodbye.